something we don't lose. Cool is our mask. Cool is our badge. Cool is our revenge. The libation at the War Council for the think tank of the people who refuse to be kept down. Cool is how we create no matter the war raging around us. Cool is how we keep the road of our destiny from warping under the intensity of that hard life. Ice cool, regardless of the things they do to break us. Ice cool, no matter how much heat they heap upon us. Ice cool, squares attack. Cool as our shield, we walked in flame, but still covered by ash and soot. We make it by hook or crook, because we school, walking down the street to our own rhythm, listening to my uncle's kicks and ism. Ranu, Kenny Red, PRB. School, like jazz in June, like jasmine bloom. My attitude when we sing this tune. We school, it's like Fela Kuti and Miles Davis, Jimi Hendrix and Ozzy Davis. We school, like Betty Davis and Zora Neale Hurston, Lena Horne and Abby Lincoln. Don't apologize for being ourselves. We icy like the frozen food on grandma's freezer shelves. We school, like deep conversations with herb libations, information like the constellations. Dr. Clark when he's contemplating. That's my baby girl when she's meditating. 800 plus on a credit rating. Shahrazad Ali when she's educating. Because we school. When my father's band did grandma's hands, I school. When Yusuf Latif, when he gave me my name, I school. All right. Peace, peace. Shabbat shalom, everyone. This is Chief Yuya, and you are tuned into the what do we call this? The study, the study session. The study session. That's what we're doing. We're doing study. And let me put my phone up. All right. So I got the chat in front of me. And I want to welcome all of you, of course. And just will that you had a good day today, that you had a peaceful day. And of course, we're studying. This is really a build session, as I've said in other times gone past. Um, I'm looking for a one in the chat. You know, Normally I see it pop up just to make sure that I'm being heard and I'm not pantomiming over here. But thank you, Sister Yafe. Thank you for that number one. But yeah, like I always say, when we do these build sessions, it's an opportunity for us to thank you, Marjorie Yard, to throw something in the room and to throw something. Thank you, Safta Ava, to throw some. Thank you, how the infinity, excuse me, and heavy tongue tonight. So yeah, this is an opportunity for everyone to kind of share what you're working on. You should always be working on something or studying something or exploring some kind of information. Our moderators are also going to put the link in the chat so that you can join in if you like, which is also always great instead of me reading the chat because I might miss something. All right, so I'm going to start it off with Master Menelec. And again, once again, peace. Welcome to all of y'all. And let's learn something. Let's drop some deep stuff. Let's get some jewels happening. You know, jewels is such an important word. You think about it, like jewel. You know, it's so critical. Um, there's a scripture where Yahweh Shai speaks about certain people not being the true Jews, and he says you are of the synagogue of Satan. And because a lot of times people have a misunderstanding about like what Satan actually is. You know, they still have the man in the red suit, you know, sort of ideology. Uh, Sometimes they misinterpret what was really being said in that instance. But Satan is, as I've shared before, it's Saturn or it's to satisfy, right? So it's that energy of satisfaction. So when he says that you're of the synagogue of Satan, he's not saying it like from a Judaic Christian perspective, or more so a Western perspective, where it's like there's God and God is good, and there's Satan and Satan is bad. But Satan is your system of flesh. Satan is your thought, your material thinking. You know, so when he's like, "Yo, you're not a Jew, you're of the synagogue of Satan," he's saying you have worshiped that which is dying. You've worshipped that which is atrophied, that which no life really comes from. You are the synagogue of your own satisfaction, of your own flesh, and there's no advancement in that. So there's no way that you could be the true life bringer. So there's really a correlation between that group that brings life and that other group that brings nothing but material sort of dead ends. That's what that satanic part was talking about. So that term Jew or jewels is so important. It's why it's used so much. Jewels, jewels. You know, it's the life of El. You know, or the gratitude. You know, that Jew comes from Yehuda, and Yehuda in its root, you know, is connected to the word Todah. Todah in your Hebrew is thanks, or to give thanks or to give praise. So the Yehudites were the ones who gave thanks. So then you transfer that to the word Jew, and then now you transfer that to Jewel or Jewel or Jewel, as people would say, you know. So it's the thanks of the Most High or the praise of the Most High. You know, that's why you have like a jewel in your crown, the Most High part on you. You put jewels in the crown, representing that gift or that thanks from the Creator. You know, but the other side of that would be a person who's of the synagogue of the flesh or the synagogue of Satan, which is just human thought, it's human thinking. So your human thinking, which we think is often so profound, is actually the trap of death. You know, it keeps you in these sort of very circular mental and intellectual masturbatory sort of cycles where it really goes nowhere. You know, sometimes I see that with people who are like, I don't know, I guess they'd be religious people, religious. Yeah, I'm gonna say religious people. Sometimes I hear the way they argue about the silliest things, and they everybody has their own doctrine, and a lot of times it's the smallest things that that'll cause a stoppage, that they will not budge from or not say, well, you know what, we both basically believe the same thing, though there may be variations, but no, that's not enough, because they are the synagogue of Satan. You know, they're stuck in flesh thought. All right, I'm gonna go to Menelek's first concept, man. First comment. He says, I've been thinking about today's mathematics, knowledge born, all being born to knowledge, and the idea of going through a cycle, then coming back to the starting point, but much wiser and much stronger. Also, about being able to trace one's journey, being grateful for how much growth the Most High has nurtured you through, instead of only focusing on what you think you may be missing, being humble enough to know how much you've grown, but also knowing there is much growth ahead of you rather than either or. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, knowledge born is so important. I had a lot of brothers with that name, knowledge born. The ability to go from the first degree to the last degree. Because what you're really saying with knowledge born, that nine is the critical number. I think I shared that recently when I was just talking about shapes, like the inverted triangle and the standard triangle that we call the Star of David. Those that which becomes a six-pointed star, and then oftentimes you might see that within a circle, or it'll be put within a square, and that square having four 45-degree angles, right? So each 45-degree angle now making 180. And when you put these angles and these points together, you'll get an actual cipher. So in understanding that a cipher is 360 degrees, right? So the 360 degrees, the 3 plus 6 is 9 again. And then you start to see the correlation of the nine, like the 9 planets, the 9 months of pregnancy, even though it's technically 10, but the 9 months of pregnancy, things like that. You start to see why nine is a number that's used so often in occult or hidden languages or hidden movements, right? That full cycle of really reflecting what the universe is presenting, and then knowledge starting with the one, right? So when you're starting with the one, you're starting with a sense of I, or as we often say, the I being the pineal, right? So you never really get from knowledge to born in a spiritual sense unless your eye is your pineal eye. It was said by early Jurassic scholars that the pineal eye or the pineal gland, which scientists or doctor medical association says today is an obsolete gland in the body. Now, if you think about that, like that's so deep because I don't even call it a gland. I call it an organ because a gland is something that just secretes. It doesn't really do a whole lot, but an organ is something that's very active, right? But something that you have so many systems of belief that are based on, in our some of our like our Vedic systems, it's called the Anja, or sometimes when they don't call it the Anja, they call it the blue pearl, right? But so many systems are based around this thing here, this pineal organ, and its ability to assist a person in tapping into self being higher conscious. So when we say higher consciousness, we're talking about higher self. When we say I, we're talking about the first eye or the third eye, as some people may call it, or the blue pearl, as it was called, or the anja, as it was also called, or the brow chakra. I mean, we could go through various different things. Or in biblical scriptures, it was called the lamp of God. You know, so you have these different so many different systems that are based off of the recognition and the utilization of this eye. But in modern times, we're told, oh, it's obsolete. It's an obsolete gland. It's no use. It's just something that it's kind of like ghost DNA. It's like, oh, you just got all this DNA, but we don't really know what the coding is for. It's just there. It doesn't do anything. Right. So when you're going from knowledge to born, or from I to manifestation, you're manifesting. Everything manifests first through that first eye vision, and that's the start of all. But when you think everything starts with I, as an I in the personality, then you are of the synagogue of Satan, right? Because everything that you're forming and you're creating, it's it's devoid of any real life. It's devoid of any real substance because it's based off of just matter. It has no marriage between the unseen and the seen, or the spiritual and the material. So knowledge to born, when you really bring in something, when you're really manifesting something, or you're going from 1 to 9, you have now filled the head up. You've mastered the head now with unseen sacred and secret are the same word. Unseen secret information. You see, so it's so interesting, man. And I think I shared this before. It's that journey of the B to the P, right? So when you look at a B, you're looking at pregnancy. You're looking at someone who's pregnant with knowledge, who has the potential to take that knowledge and manifest it into mental mastery. That's the letter B. And then when the letter B transitions up to the letter P, now you're looking at someone who is now has a head that's full of that wisdom and that mastery. The letters actually mean something. So it's very similar with the number 9 as well. With the number 9, you have that same reality where you have now, when you get to the end, the head has been filled now because the first eye has been blinking and has been fed and has been charged from this journey from the I to the 2, the wisdom, to the 3, the understanding, the 4, the culture freedom, the 5, the power refinement, the 6, the equality, 7, the L, or the God, the 8 to build and destroy, the 9 to born, and then starting our cipher over again, the knowledge cipher. So now we have the ability to inject knowledge into the cipher, and we know the cipher. The cipher is a 360-degree person, place, a thing. So now that you've gone through this process, I can look around me and, as we say, do the knowledge, or in some instances we say peep game. We can actually peep game, like, oh, that's what this is, that's what that is. you know, you start to get a understanding of things, even like the Matrix. Like you have a better understanding of, you know, am I in it or not? It's a deep thing. Like, I remember when the movie first came out. It was March of 1999, and like every day I'm in the mirror, like, you're real. You're real. Like, I was telling myself I was real. I was like, yo, you're real. Yeah, everything else might be, but you're real. You're real. You're not in the make. You're not in the. You're real. You know what I'm saying? That was the only thing I could think to do, because I'm just like, maybe I'm in it. I don't know, but no, I'm not in it. I'm real. I'm real. You know. And but when you go through that process of knowledge to born, you're able to see now with the first eye vision, and you see exactly what's happening. Menelek also says it's only obsolete if you're trying to stay attached to the earth. Right. It's very similar to the brain. Ancient Kemites, our Nile Valley ancestors, what did they do? They threw the brain out, because the brain was what? That is the synagogue of Satan, or the synagogue of Set, as would have been more appropriate at that time. But we're going to keep this heart. We need the seat of consciousness. We need the seat of intelligence. But the brain, like, ooh, so glad we can finally get rid of this thing. We won't need this where we're going next. You know what I mean? All right, shalom, shalom, brother. Yeah.
Shalom, Yuya. Peace, peace.
Hmm.
How are you? Oh, peace,
Peace.
Akisa.
Everything's well, man. Oh, we see Akisat.
Peace to the king.
All right.
That's
Yeah,
Middle.
man.
Yeah,
Yeah, drop it. I'm listening. Teach me
yeah.
something.
Wife beat me out today.
Yeah,
All right. So yeah,
man.
as you were speaking to, especially to the medical science piece, it got me thinking about extremes and how, especially in Western culture or in Western thought, people like to stay on an extreme side. Like you have to pick a side,
Mhm.
and I'm gonna pick the side that I think is most right, but I have no loyalty to that school of thought. So if it looks like the Lakers are gonna win, I'm running to the booth to try to change my bet right quick, or see if I can put in a new bet. But it's like I have no loyalty to a particular school of thought, and I'm almost like a reptile or a lizard. Like I'll let go of my tails and I'll just grow a new one, And I think is really deep um, when you're dealing with study, and when you're dealing with schools of thought, and you're really learning something, because there is um there is a trap. Like you want to be right, but you
Right.
but you also want to be honest and truthful, and sometimes it can get mixed up. Like I want to be aligned with the truth, but if it looks like the thing that I'm rooting for isn't true, I should be willing to stick with the truth, you know. And I think when it comes to Western society, it's more like, if I can't prove it to be true, I'll just stand on the sidelines and I'll watch it and I'll wait. But it has to be
Hmm.
100% true, or I'm an atheist. You know what I mean? Like I don't want to go for the ride, or I don't want to go through that those 9 degrees, to come back to the cipher. I'm not even going to start on the wisdom yet until I'm absolutely sure that the knowledge is tried and proven, And with that is there's a fear there, and there's also a level of stagnation. So it's almost like you keep missing the on ramp because these and cycles are turning, and you're just standing off on the sideline like it's like double dutch, but you're too scared to jump. So you're getting that it's like that lamp of God or that light of God. You have that light in you, and you keep ignoring it, keep ignoring it, keep ignoring it, and it gets more and more and more difficult to hear what's going on. I think we were speaking about this. It was one of the clubhouse segments, and we were talking about the idea of being jaded, and the idea of you not necessarily having a grateful heart. You can't be awe-inspired anymore, and you don't want to explore, or you don't want to stay in the pocket. When life is happening, you don't want to be in the pocket. You want to stand on the sides and wait until like it's 100% safe. Then I'll jump in, and then when it starts looking kind of sketchy, I'll jump off on the side, and then when it looks better again, I'll jump in. So it's like a double dutch with your purpose, almost, or like a hopscotch, I guess, with your purpose. So you don't get the full experience because you're only getting like little dabs of it. So when you come out on the other side, it's like you got an uneven timeline. Like you weren't in it for the whole experience.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let
me see if I understand you. This is when the argument comes. You get ready to argue with you.
Yeah.
You know how he starts his arguments off.
Yeah, he pulls up his chair, he folds his arms, he looks left and right.
Puts the bed up in the air.
Though it sounds very simple and easy, I do understand it's very difficult if you have not, especially coming from a family or, a group of people who have not been introduced to a certain amount of information or have always went along with the program, then it's hard for one to say, all right, I'm going to just break out and I'm going to do this, right? Like it would make somebody stand and watch and see what's going to happen because of some fear or some, I don't know, fear of the unknown. Like, I don't know, there's not necessarily a blueprint that's going to show me that this is what I should be doing or what I shouldn't be doing. So let me see what happens if somebody else tries it, or let me see what happens if somebody else goes, or let me say a word, let me say something to say I might know something, but then as the other group starts to, hit somebody over the head with, well, you come around here with all of that consciousness, or you coming with this, you talking about purpose and you talking about all of this. And it's like, I might not know enough in order to either keep them off of me, or it's that I want to expend this amount of energy to even give something to somebody that really is going to fall on deaf ears, which then somebody can say, why are you even around these people? But I would also say, I know
somebody has probably already said that to you.
I'm just like speaking, I'm trying to defend one who may have issues with actually living their truth. Because some people be like, if you know the truth, then why are you living it a different way? I mean, it sounds very simple, but especially in a world where they try to promote individualism or believe in yourself, but yourself is nothing more than the group that's telling you this is the way it should be. So it's like a game that somebody is playing on one, but if you don't see the game, then the game starts to play tricks on you, where it's like, all right, myself is do whatever I feel is necessary. And then almost in essence, block out family. Like, I'm not going to build family. I'm not going to go towards family. I'm going to go towards whatever makes me happy. Career. I'm going to go towards money. I'm going to go towards living extravagant lifestyles because that's what the society has told me, as opposed to doing something totally different, as like listening to a vetting process or sitting with somebody and taking the time to see what actually is in front of me. I'd rather just rush through it and have fun, but then take the time to sit in family court and then try to sit down with mediation and then try to go over these things, as opposed to taking an hour and a half out of my day to listen to something else.
Right. But you know what? The thing about it is that there's a law of rhythm. So nothing that works right now works later. You know, so that whole ideology of like, I'm going to watch somebody else do it, and if it works out for them, then I'm going to do it. It's not going to work for you because now the time has passed. You see, so when you are really venturing out as a spiritual, or in any level of cultural or spiritual victory, it's all about your timing. You know, it's like you ever drive and you see like there's a lot of traffic, and the car in front of you does something wild to jump out front, and then you're like, I'm gonna follow them. And then, but by the time you get there, it's like, I can't do what they just did, you know, because it wasn't your time, you know. So that's the thing. Sometimes family can maybe be emboldened by your courage of doing a certain thing, but to think that you're going to walk somebody's path, it's not going to happen. Even when we look at things in ancient times, the reality is that there are things that we deal with that our forefathers and foremothers did not deal with. And vice versa. You know what I mean? When we die, we don't have a stomach full of worms, you know, because our food processing is much different than what they had in ancient times, where they was just fanning flies off the meat. You know what I'm saying? So we got different sort of issues and different sort of realities. So I don't think you can't really say everybody has their own path they have to walk. And they have to walk it in their own time, and it's going to work for them at their timing. Now they can miss their season, but the thing about it is that when you have an intimate relationship with the Creator, then you get tuned to time. You know, it's just like people sometimes they wake up in the dawn and they say, "Oh man, I thank God for waking me up another day." Instead of like realizing like God is you. God woke itself up. You know. So when you recognize that, and when you're timed in with that type of frequency, it's like, yeah, I hear you, but what about this, brother? You see what he's doing? He's building up his counter argument, you know. So you know, when you're on that sort of time, then you catch the rhythm for what you're supposed to do when you're supposed to do it. You have siblings, I have siblings, Menelik had siblings. I'm sure you and your siblings, just like me and mine, just like Menelek's, we all do something different. We all have a different frequency. We all have a different wave. And I know when I was younger, the stuff like my older siblings used to do, I could never seem to get away with. You know, I would try, and I would, in my opinion, do it better than how they did it. But I would be the one who would get caught because that wasn't for my era. That wasn't for me. That was for them to be able to do and to learn their lessons and to get away with. But just a few years that we have between us, the dynamic in the season changed. So now even the mischief changes because the mischief teaches you a lesson. So it's like, nah, that mischief was for them. You got a whole nother level of mischief that you're supposed to learn something from. You see? So it's a personal rhythm that you have to kind of lock into when you're locked into the Creator in that sense. You know?
I noticed too with the am I frozen?
Nah, you good tonight. Okay. I don't know what you did.
All right. Yeah, I don't know either. It pissed me off. But I was thinking about even when you miss your own timing and your own rhythm, you could sort of get stuck in time. Like you might be in a situation where it's a social gathering. Like I've had this happen to me a lot of times. I'm not cool in large groups. I'm all right one-on-one. But in a large group, my voice is drowned out. I just sit put aside. But there are times when it's like I get a spark to say something, and if I hesitate, like that second of hesitation, there is a lull in the conversation. And then I was like,
you're yelling.
And then, right, then I'm yelling. You know? But I also found myself getting stuck in that spot where it's like I missed that. Like I just missed six, seven different moments thinking about the moment I just missed.
Right.
You know, like I get stuck in that time.
Because that's the satanic part of you. See, the satanic part of you is thinking about mechanics all the time. You know, people of Satan are very mechanical. That's one of the ways you can tell the difference. People of Satan even walk mechanically. their conversations are stiff and mechanical. Whereas people of the Most High, you go to certain parts of the world and you listen to people speak and it sounds like music when they speak, even though you can't understand the language. You know, you could listen to somebody from freaking listen to Zulu, then listen to Russian. You know what I mean? Or German. You know what I'm saying? You could even go to the Caribbean, listen to a Caribbean actor, then listen to somebody from Germany. You're like, yeah, okay, all right, I know who your daddy is. You know, so there's like there's a rhythm in all things, and there's a tone. And a lot of times when we're locked on the mechanics of things, you know, we never make it. That's why sometimes even in building businesses and things like that, we get so stuck into the mechanics that we miss our opportunity because we're not locked into a flow of when it's sometimes you got to do things, you do it wrong, and you figure it out along the way, because that's what the flow is telling you. It's like throwing a baby in the water so they can learn how to swim. That works at a certain season and age. After a certain age, you just killed your child. You know, like that, you know. So, but at a young age, it's like they are, because I'm sure the scariest part is just flying through the air. You know,
that's how we learn how to swim.
Right. Throw them in there, they figure it out. Right. But it's because that's the season where if a baby is thinking about the mechanics too much, or just like us, if we get in the water and we're like, okay, you're supposed to do this, while you figuring all that out, you're sinking. You know. So I think a lot of it has to do with, are we tuned into that God frequency? And that God frequency is always gonna give us a sense of the flow. And it's just being an is person as opposed to a goal-centered person. A goal-centered person is always going to say, I want to do this. And as a is person is just always going to say, I'm going to be this, or I'm being this, or I'm doing this. And they just place themselves there. Now, once they play, and this kind of goes to what Brother Yali has said. I saw something in there. Try to see if I find. He said, this makes me think that you must first receive the vision of your heaven in the lamp in order for, thank you, in the lamp in order for it to manifest. In order to bring the vision together / manifest, I must be able to identify the tools around in my wakened life in order to complete the building. Right? So, but that's working from inner to outer, right? So he's got to build the building in his mind first. But if he's thinking about the mechanics of the material, his timing will always be off, because the material only manifested itself because the idea and the concept manifested itself in his head. You see, so he'll always be a few steps behind. Like when we sitting like, yo, I want to make this happen. What you waiting for? I ain't got the money. Then it's never going to happen. You'll never have the money, you know, because the money is already there, but it's waiting for you to be there. It's there and you need to be there in order to have it, you know.
I had an experience. This was yesterday, and I was driving. I had to do something. I think I had to go to the store, and there was this brother on the side of the street. You know, he put his hand up. He wanted a ride. So I was like, where you going? And he was saying, as soon as he opened his mouth, it was this defeated vibe about him. It's like, oh, well, I'm trying to get to the store, but you could drop me over there. You know, it doesn't really matter. You could drop me over there. It's like, no, but I'm going to the store. Like, which store are you going to? You going to this one or the one around the corner? He's like, you could just drop me up there. You know, it's not a problem. I tried one more time. I was like, I'm going to the store. You want me to just, which store are you going to? And he's like, oh, I'm going to the store around the corner, you know, the liquor store. I was like, all right, cool. And as I was driving him, in the back of my mind, something was like, drop him where you asked him to drop him. Drop him where he asked you to drop him. And I still took him there. And I didn't count it good or evil to drop him where he asked me to drop him, or to take him where he was actually going. But as I was driving by, I was like, that must be how annoying I sound when y'all was trying to take me where I'm supposed to go. I'm trying to go where I think I deserve to go.
Right. Right.
And it's like, I'm sorry. That's annoying. I met this dude like 5 minutes and I was annoyed. So you know me from before I was born. But I don't know how
Right.
annoying I am to you.
Well, I mean, the word angel just means messenger.
Mm-hmm.
So we get that word twisted a lot. We think it's always something flying down from the sky. But if somebody delivers a message to you, that's an angel. So dude was an angel. He delivered a message, and you got to see a mirror reflection of yourself for a moment, and how you slow things up. Because even in that little exchange, it's like, even if he's leaning in the car, it's like now his back is hurting from leaning over. He's sweating. So it's like you're uncomfortable because of even this negotiation you're doing with your own righteous privilege.
Mm-hmm.
You're creating your own misery in life because you want to negotiate.
So this makes me think of when one is not in timing, one would ultimately give somebody religion to get them in timing, at least with having a relationship with the creator. So I would look at somebody else and say, how do you have such a great relationship with the creator? How can I do it? So then somebody would say, okay, follow these steps. And these steps would get you in alignment, at least before, you can start talking about any metaphysics and spirituality and one coming to their own, which in essence would get, 1 second, somebody's knocking at my door. I'm sorry.
It's so good. We heard it. But
You trying to get in?
right. Talk about
Open
timing.
up. FBI, open up.
I'm a messenger. But even that, like what Aki Zach was talking about, man, like that doesn't work. Like I want to get in timing like you. So, like I'll introduce you to my religion. It won't work. If someone wants to have a timing in a groove like you, the best thing you could do is become their friend. That's the best thing you could do, because whatever timing that we have right now, most likely we got from our mamas. It's not something that someone taught. Like, who taught you the first time, like, that you experienced it, to have a sensation of the Almighty? Like, you might have I didn't grow up in church, but you might have been a person who went to church when you was a child, but it didn't work. It didn't work in terms of like giving you a connection. It gave you a concept and an idea of what you were supposed to feel. And you probably could invoke that feeling in you, but that feeling probably got smashed the first time you went hiking and there were no buildings around and no trees around, and you looked up at the sky and was like, damn. Mm-hmm. And realized, like, yo, I am so tiny. Oh my God. Like, God did this. This is what God be doing. Oh, you know what I'm saying? Right. And that like, you playing the tambourine and singing "This is the day the Lord has made" doesn't compare to just that. That feeling of peacefulness. Or here's one, because like, I like to sleep in the woods all the time. The first time I slept in the woods, like, just ran up in the woods and then like woke up the next day. It was like, yo, I am a spiritual person. Now, the reason I felt like I was spiritual, because I made it through the night. I was like, yo, nothing ate me. Because first time I did that, I was in bear country. I was like, yo, nothing ate me. Like, this, there's no hole. I'm looking like nothing ate one of my toes off. Like, got 10 toes still left, 10 fingers. Like, nothing nibbled on me in the middle of the night. Oh my God, there is a God, So it hits everybody different. But that original rhythm that we're given, that allows us the ability to be in tune, is something that comes in the blood. That comes from your mama. So you can't, religion doesn't really do that. Religion gives you a system to reproduce. Like, if I go to the mountains and look at the sky, religion will give me a way to reproduce that. Mm-hmm. But there has to be a divine spark in you in the beginning, and someone who messed with that spark a little bit. Like, when your mother used to do this, when you were a baby, right? That's very spiritual. Mm-hmm. You disappeared and then you reappeared, just like that. That's magic. You see, or hid something behind their back that you was looking for, and then and then showed it to you. Things like that, you know, and that started to jumpstart. It's like it jump started that spiritual sense within you. Those little games that we don't know where those games come from, but those are games that are given to us by our ancestors to initiate certain things within a baby. It's just like a lot of my cousins and whatnot, when they were babies, they got the girls got the string tied around the waist. You know, that's supposed to give they say give them a wire waist, so they have like a Coke bottle shape. You know, babies be fat. You know what I'm saying? So, you know what I'm saying? Does that really work? You know what I'm saying? My cousin, I got some big money. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, but where did that come from? You know what I'm saying? These different things that we do, and though we may think it's for one thing, it may be for something else. That may have been activating a certain chakra, you know, or like how they used to put a penny on the baby's head, stuff like that. So the baby's head would be shaped a certain way and all this kind of stuff. But where do these ideas and this folklore come from? To me, this is the spiritual initiation a lot of times that parents are giving children. I used to dance in circles with my children. And we would just dance and skip around in circles, just do that. And whenever we would do, not whenever, but in particular, one of my girls, she would always send people into trance because she would just do it around people all the time. And she'd be sitting there dancing around you for like 4 minutes. And next thing you know, people start speaking in tongues. You know, now where did I get the idea? I don't know. It just seemed like something powerful. If all the children were like in a circle and dancing, and you know what I mean, it just seemed like something that should happen to make them closer. But I was also activating something. You know what I mean? So that activation has to be there even before the religion, or the religion then just becomes an oppressive fairy tale system.
Because I even was I briefly started looking into, I don't know if you read the book God Delusion, which it started speaking about, and this is like from an atheist perspective of like, even kind of like you look up and you see and you're like, man, I'm not alone in here. And one of the things though that they start speaking about though is, why does it need to be attributed to anything? Why can't it just be that and just leave it at that? Like, or even like somebody looking at like a natural, like a tsunami going on, or you know, certain events. And I want to say that you were speaking about even the eclipse and all of that, you know. And one might say, you know, this is a sign of something else, and then somebody like, well, no, it's not a sign of anything. It's just you trying to attribute or attach something to something else to make it fit with whatever ideologies that you have been given in your head as a child, whether that be through religion or whether that be through something that helps you make you feel like you're not alone.
Right. Yeah. I mean, when you're taking a bath, you know, sometimes it's just bubbles coming up and sometimes you poot it in the bath, you know. So the thing is, you know which one it is. You know, now you try to, especially if you're in the bath with a young lady or something, you want to try to recreate it, like you flapping your arms trying to get air to come back up. You heard that? You didn't hear that, right? Did you hear that? Yeah, I got to get a plumber to come check out the something underneath the tub. You know, so the thing is like when you recognize, see, like when you feel connected to the systems around you, you know if it's just a tsunami or if it's something else being spoken because it spoke to you first. You see that's the science of it. It's like, even when people tell you like you have these people on like these social media, like they'll reach out to you and say that your ancestors have a message for you. If you plugged in, your ancestors ain't gonna tell me anything they haven't already told you. All I'm gonna come along and do is confirm what they already said to you if you're plugged in. You know, so it's the same instance. If I see an eclipse ain't nothing but a confirmation of what I already saw was happening around this time. The same thing with a tsunami and many other experiences that may happen if you're plugged in. If you're not, then you're going to take it from outer inner. You're going to say Mother Earth is speaking, and Mother Earth is telling us this and telling us that, and all those things. You have to take it from outer, because there's nothing stirring on the inside. You don't have that kind of vibrational force on the inside. But what could the earth, again, we're talking about family and relatives. So what's the earth going to express outwardly that it didn't already, that because we're connected through a nerve sensory, that I haven't already felt too? You know, we get volcanoes. Oh, well, I had a pimple the other day. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, it would be a volcano. You know, like you having a bowel movement. Okay, my face just had a bowel movement. You know, so that's the thing. But sometimes we're universalizing this occult experience and this esoteric experience, and that's where things get thrown off. It's just like us, right? We come from an Israelite understanding, but you really can't compare us with any Israelite camps, because we don't practice the same way that the camps do. You know, the camps may throw up the King James Bible or the 1611 Bible and say it's got to be in here. And I'm sitting here saying, yo, aliens are real. The Illuminati is real. You know, these ancient bloodlines, King Henry and whatnot, these were the children of Nephilim. That's what royal and blue blood. That's why you had blue bloods, you had green bloods, you had gray bloods, you had yellow bloods. You only hear the term blue blood, but there were other color bloods, right? Now, you're not going to necessarily hear that from someone who also may claim, oh, well, you might hear that from someone who's a Moor, who's a part of the Moorish Science Temple, you know, or for me to say like, yo, you know, in ancient Hebraic tradition, they made salat. I have images of it. You know what I mean? I've read documentaries about it. They made salat back in the days. So even like the Islam you're seeing today, this ain't ancient Islam, the stuff you're seeing today. You know, ancient Islam and ancient, you know, Judaism was the same exact thing. How could it not have been the same thing when they both came from Abraham? They both had the same daddy. So it was the same traditions, right? So everything, just like you might say, okay, we speak Hebrew, we say we're speaking modern Hebrew. This ain't worth that much. You know what I'm saying? It ain't really worth much. You know, so, or somebody be like, oh man, y'all in the Islam, man, y'all dealing with them Arabs. What? Arabs? That's so far down the timeline. You know, as far as when you're dealing with an ancient understanding of things. So it's like when you universalize in a way, and a lot of times we do that out of ignorance, you know, then we'll fail to realize that different people have different sorts of connections. Some people ain't got no connection. And that's why you really have to be a watcher in these days and times. Like, you know, when we talk about certain Nephilim that were left here to watch, and I told you before that we are hybrids. So we recognize that we're part spirit, part human. You're freaking Nephilim. You're a Nephilim. So you're a watcher. So as a watcher, you're going to have an understanding of ancient secrets that other people are just not going to have. Even if you place it right in front of them, they're not going to see it. They won't get it. You know. So you can't universalize it, man. You just, I don't identify with nobody. You know what I'm saying? The closest thing to Anu that I identify with is people who farm. That's it. To me, the closest you can get to this Anu teaching and understanding is to farm. That's the closest you can get to it. Anything outside of that, it's going to be off. It's going to be way off. Either you're going to be doing too much, because people will say, well, you know, the original Hebrew language was Yoruba. Yeah, that's highly possible. That's highly possible, because it was definitely very close to it. But they love their idols too much. They on some low vibrational idol worship. They still bowing down in front of rocks and stones and subpar deities. That ain't it. Then you might say, okay, but then you got the Hebrew thing. Yeah, but a lot of that stuff is too antique, because you don't understand that there's things advanced with the time. Some things are just not going to be relevant anymore because of the way we talking about an agrarian society back then. We're not living in an agrarian society anymore. So some of the things, bring all of your grains to the storehouse. When's the last time any of you seen grain? You know what I'm saying? When's the last time you've been on a threshing floor? You know what I'm saying? So it's like you have to know if you have that God seed within you, then you'll evolve as it evolves, and your vision will evolve as it evolves. You see, but you can't universalize it. You have to take on the onus and the responsibility of those who see it in a way that nobody else does. That's a responsibility. If your family doesn't see it, okay, well, you saw it. How much strength did it take for the ancestors to orchestrate you being the one that saw it? And you're like, why couldn't you orchestrate it for everybody else?
So
we should just have 50 Jesuses. If that's the case, you know what I'm saying? If that's the case, you know what I'm saying? Like, damn, why we could have more Jesuses? You know what I'm saying? Where's the Mexican Jesus? Yeah, you know what I'm saying? It was a whole rainbow coalition of Jesuses. You know what I'm saying? Where's the little people Jesus? Why the little people don't get no Jesus? You know what I'm saying? Like, come on, man. You know what I'm saying? It took enough to put that together. You know what I'm saying? Hell.
Right.
Yeah, man.
But if
we got more.
Go ahead, Master Melly. I'm sorry. Was you saying
something? Go ahead.
Yeah, Safta Harvard says that causes me to think how people jump from one religion to another. They believe one thing one day, but when it presents something they don't like, they change their whole religion. Yeah, you know why they do that, Safta? Is because they don't study anything. Because you don't really need more than one religion. Honestly, you don't need more than one. If you take one, just one, that's meticulously put together, intelligently put together, it will give you everything you need. Because at the end of the day, the religion is just to get you civilized so you can have the real conversation. People jump from religion to religion, and then what they say at the end, they'll say this. Well, you know, I learned in all my years that they all saying the same thing. All religions lead down, they're not all saying the same thing. They do not all lead down the same path. No, that's not how it works. You see? But that's the laziness. You're just lazy. So you're going to tell me a Catholic and a Muslim is saying the same thing? You know what I'm saying? It's worlds apart. But you wouldn't know that if you don't actually study the doctrine of each system. You know what I'm saying? So it's about humility and devotion. Just humbly devote yourself to something, and it's going to open up your awareness. You know, and I'm not saying, like, there are better religions. Like, some religions are BS. Like, you know, but even the BS religions, if you approach it earnestly, you're going to figure out it's BS and you're going to leave anyway. So if you it's like drilling. A religion is just a drill site. So this is where I'm going to start drilling. And you have to have in your mind that I'm not devoting myself to this religion. I'm devoting myself to the creator and to the truth of the creator. And that may mean that I'm going to drill right through this religion and see what's underneath this religion. You know, and then what's underneath that, and then what's underneath that, and then some people get lazy. Let's say, well, all of this came from Kemet. No, it didn't. That's stupid. You lazy. You lazy. Because you have, you know, that's like me going to the library and finding a bunch of books that I have in school and like, well, all the information came from this library right here. You know, the West Side Library, public library. No, this is just where it was collected. But, you know, you have to keep drilling. You know what I'm saying? So religions are drill sites. And if you're earnest and you're sincere about it, you're going to get to the core. So all religions could lead to the same place if you have a drill of truth. If you have a drill of truth, you probably won't be in any religion longer than 2 years. Truthfully, if you're approaching it like a scholar would, depending on the depth of the religion. Something like Christianity, I mean, I can almost put a time on each religion. Christianity, 3 years. You know, Islam, modern Islam, 5, only because it's got so many dope cultural aspects. You get lost in the culture of Islam because it's so healthy before you figure out like this ain't ancient. What the heck were we doing before? Before you realize like some of the things we're doing are not related to us. And a lot of times, and the reason I can put the time on certain things because it has to do with the language. If you're going to be a Christian, how long is it going to take you to learn Latin and Greek? Because once you learn the Latin and Greek, you're going to leave. If I'm a Muslim, how long is it going to take you to learn Arabic? Once you learn the Arabic, the ancient Arabic, you're going to leave. You see, and you're going to go deeper, and you're going to go deeper, and you're going to go deeper. So, yeah, that hopping from religion to religion, that's lazy people who come in expecting something. And a lot of times what's happening is that one of the biggest problems with religion is that people are hiding in plain sight. You see, you'll go to a church and you got a pastor is screwing half the deacon board, you know, but in that church environment, the pastor just can't stand up there and say, look, I like dudes. I prefer the penis to the vagina. Like, what would be wrong with him saying that? You know, or somebody in the church saying like, hey, yeah, like, you know, I go to church, I love church, but I also do voodoo. You know, so when you go into those environments, everybody's hiding. So what happens is, as you start to realize that people are hiding, what do you want to do? You want to leave. And you want to go to an environment that you consider to be more pure and more clean. But each one has the same issue. They're all hiding. You see, until you eventually say, you know what? I just do my own thing. You know, because you feel like I can only be honest with me. That's why the churches and the religions, you got to come up out of her, because you got to come to a place of truth. You know, and sometimes that looks insane when it comes down to, look what's happening to Diddy right now because he's been hiding. He would have just came out in the beginning and be like, hey, I'm nasty. I don't even say nasty. I have some proclivities that are hard to explain. Okay. Very difficult to put into words, you know, but it ain't no but. Like that's it, man. You know what I mean? That's it.
Too many butts.
Right, exactly. He running through them, boy. You know what I'm saying? He's a butt nut. You know? So that's the thing. So it's like everybody's hiding in plain sight. So as a result, each environment doesn't get the power that it should actually have. You don't get to see. It's like watching Martin from back in the days. That's why they had to destroy that show. That was the only show that we ever saw a melanin dominant romance. Only show. Anytime we see melanin rich people on TV and they're married, they're already married. They're already old. They're already halfway unattractive. You know, and they got children and we never seen where we saw somebody dating, going through that whole process, then living together, and then getting married. They showed the whole process. You see? So that's the thing, like, we don't get to see process in these religions. Everybody just shows up like, yeah, because I'm in our new, because, you know, we practice this and we practice that and we practice that. Come on, man, stop playing. We practicing because we ain't got it yet. You know what I mean? Like, I perfect polygyny. I'm not practicing. I don't practice polygyny. I'm perfecting it at this point because I'm so good at it. But there was a time that I was practicing polygyny. You see what I'm saying? I know what I'm practicing and I know what I'm perfecting. And that's where the honesty has to come in a lot of times. Lately, I've been working on my speech, because I've recognized, like, yeah, you are very, I used to not, well, I went back and forth with using profanity. And for like many, many years, I used no profanity. Then I got with this sister, and we were very much in love. And I don't know, I just started cursing all the time. You know, certain she just made me want to curse. And not because there was a problem, because we just started. And I remember running into this other sister I knew, and I think this might have, I was my cut my locks. I don't know. And she was like, "You look different." Oh, because I was raw vegan by then. We were doing it. And I was like, "Yeah, I eat raw and everything." And I was like, "And I curse now." And she just started laughing. She's like, "Oh, hey, like I was a child." I was like, "Yeah, I'll be cursing now." You know. You know. So, but I ain't been able to kick it since then because I love the way profanity feels in my mouth. It just feels so natural, but it feels so natural that I know it ain't right. I can feel it. You know, it feels too good to be right. You know, it just feels too good to be right. Then I look at comedians like Sinbad, and I'll be like, Sinbad's funny though. And he don't be cursing. You know what I'm saying? I gotta get on my Sinbad and old Bill Cosby, man. You know what I mean? So that's a practice. I'm practicing my language. You know what I mean? So we have to, you know, come a little bit more unhidden in our processes, man, and that will strengthen the folk. You know, so that's why they church hop South to Harvard. They just church hoes. That's all. Just church hoes. You know what I mean? Yeah, they are, man. They hoes. You know, they got no commitment, man. South to Harvard says, like, when you taught in Genesis that Adam was first just a thought before he was made flesh. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. He was man was a thought form. Man had to be a thought form. There was no need for the flesh. The flesh was a fall. Ever since man got flesh, the stuff got funky from there forward. You know, but that flesh is necessary for us to live out our lives. You know, we always talk about, oh, I'm living my truth. What about your lies? We got to live out these lies too. Yeah, man, because the lies tell us what's what. Hey, come on, man. You don't have things. I know I do. I got some things in my life that I'm like, you know how we always say everything comes to light? Mm-hmm. And there's times I'll be laying in the bed at night like, how is this going to come out? And I mean things from years ago. Things from years ago that it's just like, there's no way that's going to stay hidden. There's no way. Like, that was just too bad. And when it comes, and I'll be running scenarios like, how am I going to play it when it comes out? I'll be like, so? Or am I going like, you know what I'm saying? I'll be practicing. You know what I mean? So we got to live out the lie too, the lie of the flesh. You know, that's an important thing, man. Just like we living out the truth. It's both sides of it. If not, we wouldn't have the flesh. You know, see, that's sometimes the problem with our inability to balance properly. We just pretend like we have no dark side until it starts to creep up on us and become a cancer. You see, when I did the first Heart On project, the first words of the first song was "Welcome to my kink." That was the first line I sung. "Welcome to my kink. Come playing within my lair." Why is it my lair? Because this is my bat cave that y'all don't know about. You know what I'm saying? Well, I knew he was in the music and I knew he was in the martial arts. You know what I'm saying? But this, the playing doctor, tying people up. Is he having sex on the pastor Yuya? You know what I mean? Like, yeah. So that was a way to show, like, hey, we have that dark side too. And some of your dark side may be legal and some of it may be illegal. Like, my dark side is legal. You know what I mean? Like, it may look like you ain't supposed to be doing it, but nothing I do is outside of the law. But you learn how to manipulate the law when you learn the law. You learn the loopholes. You know, like, oh, we could do that? Wait, well, let me see. It's not against the law. So
it's law adjacent.
Right, exactly. You know, but we all have our things like that, whether it be the way we speak sometimes, or the music we want to listen to sometimes, you know, or we curse somebody out, you know, something happens, we curse somebody out, and we still have that potential to curse people out or whatever. We have to be real with each other about our dark sides so we can see the redemption story in each other. We can see the climb in each other, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Is that more so people that hidden from, because it's like if somebody is struggling with something, right? Like let's say somebody is struggling with a sex addiction, but then let's say you talk about, I'm talking about hard on. How does one balance? I'm assuming that's why pastors like, no, I'm not gonna. I have to present myself in a certain way to try to make them see like this is a standard in order for them to get to, but not really releasing that, because if I start saying the things that I'm struggling with or the things that are, you know, that keep me down, then it may keep somebody else who really is like wayward to keep going wayward, because it's like, well, if you're struggling with it, then what's the point of me even trying to go this direction?
Yeah, but we got to look at it. We could look at it like that, but we got to we have to validate some of these words. Like, what's a sex addiction?
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like people will say certain things because of lack of understanding. Like, you know, it's just like kink. What is kink? Kink is any sort of sexual practice that's considered outside of the norm of sex. What is that? You know what I'm saying?
Some people would see that
as
anything out of the missionary, right?
Right. Anything after missionary could be considered kink. You know what I'm saying? So you're a sex addict. Well, if you have an addiction, usually an addiction is something that's defined as something that blocks you, you know, from being able to perform your everyday duties, like going to work. They always throw work in there. You know, if something stops you from going to work, then it could be addictive. Some people have like sex all the time. They still go to work. Some people are unemployed and have sex all the time. Exactly. That's the best sex. You can sell project chick. I gotta be nowhere. I got nothing. Right. I ain't got nowhere to go. You know what I'm saying? So it's like when you look at these terms, a lot of times it's based upon someone else's standard. And you got to go all the way back to like D.W. Griffith's Birth of a Nation, the oversexed African. You know, it's taking somebody's perception of how we're supposed to be based on their culture and their physiology and their biology. See, our sex is colonized. You see, so if somebody calls me, oh, you a sex addict. Oh, you got multiple women. You a sex addict. I'm not a sex addict. My forefathers had multiple women. They built the greatest kingdoms on the planet. They weren't sex addicts. This is what we do. You see, now maybe you is a little different because y'all didn't want multiple women. Y'all wanted little boys. So that I may look at that. Yeah, I don't see, but they might be like, well, here's the thing about that. We saved money. You know, we didn't have all those babies. You know? Oh, well, okay. Well, we got plenty of food. We got plenty of coconut and papaya. And we got plenty of food to go around for all the extra babies, right? So that's what I'm saying. It's like when you start to define these terms in a real and honest way and realize that some of your perception of these realities is still based on the colonialism, you know, and we're passing that down from generation to generation. I mean, just like how we're warring about like sexual education in the schools. Well, why don't we talk to our children about sex? You know what I'm saying? Like, why would you expect them to give you anything that even if they taught what you wanted to teach, it still wouldn't be based on your culture. You know what I'm saying? So this is what I mean. Like let's take the twerking phenomenon. Black women been shaking. You can't stop black women from shaking their asses. You know what I'm saying? They've been shaking their asses since before Kunta Kinte. They can't help it. You know what I'm saying? And we like it. You know what I'm saying? Like, so they gonna shake their asses. That's what they do. Y'all gonna shake your asses. We gonna have multiple women. Those of us who are highly achieved men are going to have access to more women. And if we have access to more women, that means we're automatically creating polygynous societies. Because most of the time, most of the women want to sleep with the same guys anyway. Even in the hood, all the girls got babies by the same dudes. You know what I mean? So that's a reality that we don't address within our spiritual culture. To say, okay, let's look at what this really is. Because again, if our thoughts have been colonized and our bodies have been colonized, our culture is colonized. And underneath our culture is our food, our sports, our entertainment, our sex, our language. And these are all things that now have to be freed from colonialism, the perception of these things, you know.
So there's when you just said that, it started making me think of a situation with the young dude that he called me. He's going to prom with this. This could be a colonized, I don't know, but he's going to prom with the. He's a junior, she's a senior. But one of the things he asked is, could he get a hotel room at the end of the prom night? Now, it was the dilemma. I was like, if you get a hotel room, I already know what's about to happen.
Right.
Now, if I say no, though, then it's like, you're probably going to go do it anyway. You're just going to find some other way to do it. Yeah. But like, you say yes to it and open the door, well, then now there's consequences. Then who's supposed to have a conversation with him and her? Because this is a girl. I don't know her father and anything of that nature. But if somebody giving the okay, then there's like a lot of things that come from the back end of this if one starts to go down that road. Does one have those conversations with him, or is this like, you know what? You just got to be careful.
Well, see, for me, I'm the unfun uncle, because I'm not going to talk to you about your prom because it's stupid. You know what I mean? Like, so we're not even getting to after prom. Like, your graduation is stupid. Your prom is stupid. Your gown is stupid. Your hat is stupid. Your tassel, it's all stupid. So I'm not, see, those things, they're religious experiences. That's not my religion. You know, whenever you have something like that and somebody says, well, you know, you're supposed to wear the robe. Well, first of all, robe, that's a religious uniform. I'm wearing a gown to graduation, right? Then I take the gown off, and how do I celebrate this stamping deeper into colonial culture? I celebrate it through a blood ritual known as sex. Mm-hmm. Preferably with someone who's a virgin. I'm not getting involved in that. That's a religion. I'm not going to be a part of your religion. You see? So the thing is, it's like you have to kind of see these things from the root. You know, you have to see, like, before you have certain conversations, is this conversation beneath me? Now, the kid's going to go out, they're going to have sex, they're going to do whatever they're going to do, but that's not really where the problem initiated. That's not where it began. Like, my conversation is like, you got your high school diploma or whatever school you about to go out in the world. You know, they still going to treat you like a ninja, right? You know that, right? You know, like, oh, you about to turn 18? You know, you can get pulled over at any moment and treated like a boy, right? They might even call you boy. You know that, right? So let's talk about that. Let's talk about that reality. You know what I mean? So, I always got to go to the root of things. And there's always another uncle to go talk to. Yeah, I just, man, move around with that. Man, don't even come to me with that. Just go on, move around. You know what I'm saying? So that would be my personal response for that one. You know, yeah. I'm gonna read something that Sister Maria put in the chat, if I can find it. Something about the money. That's the beautiful realization that the money is there, because when things don't go, we lose faith and attach that lack or loss to Yah, forgetting that it's all good, but our way of seeing things is false. Yes, because we don't know how to get on the frequency. You know, money is nothing. Money it's just a tool, right? But there's always something that creates the tool, and that's in the hand of the tool. Because let's say, like, if we didn't have any more silk, if we had no more silkworms, would we say then we can't print up any more money? You know, because y'all probably know money's not made out of paper per se, but we have no more silk to make any more dollar bills with $100 bills. So that means we're out of money. You would recognize that the money itself is a tool and it's something that sits behind it. There's a thought, there's a concept that sits behind that money. That concept is always there because it's alive on the planet because we constantly feed it. So all I have to do is tune into the frequency of that concept of currency. And then the tools of currency will be made available to me. You see, because there's so many different things that we accept for that currency based on the concept. You got women who will sleep with dudes to marry them. Why do they marry them? For stability. They have children, what? So we can lock in a relationship, be stable. That's called prostitution. No, it ain't prostitution. We got married. You slept with him, so he would take care of you. That's prostitution, baby. You see what I'm saying? So she tuned into the frequency of the currency and was like, oh, you ain't got to give me a stack. You ain't got to buy me a bag. You ain't got to buy me nothing. Mm-hmm. But if I sleep with you, you know we go together, right? You know, I'm a good church girl, and we're gonna sleep together. But I don't believe in abortion, right? So you know that's the thing. It's like it's locking into the tone of it and understanding that Yah only gives. Yah never takes away. You know, Yah gives, Satan takes. So once you understand that, then you know what frequency. There's times you got to tune into a satanic frequency because you got to destroy something. There's times you got to tune into a heavenly frequency. Heaven is the place of creation. So it's just really about knowing what frequency that you need to tune into. If you're saying, okay, well, I need resources in my life, I would never suggest anybody do a ritual where they're envisioning freaking Benjamin Franklin and never do that. You do a mental or meditation where you're tuning into the sacredness of wealth. The sacred means secret. What is the secret of wealth? What is that tone that exists under wealth? You know, if it's a current, what is the wavelength of that currency of wealth? That's what I'm going to tune into. And that's where I will find Yah. Now, where I'm looking at lack and I'm looking at void and I'm looking at the unknown, I'm looking at the satanic or the fleshly aspect. A lot of us, we get money through the unknown. That's why most of us don't really know how money works. You know, half of us don't even know how much we get paid down to the cent. You know, we know around, you know what I'm saying? As long as we looking at all the bills are paid and there's money in the account, we good. It's just a whole unknown sort of thing. They took out money for taxes. Why? And how much? And what's the formula? I don't know. It just, as long as my bills is paid, you know what I'm saying? So we're operating from that unknown, and that unknown is the material operation, and therefore we never get to master it, as opposed to operating from Yah. What does the Creator say about the flow of wealth? How do I open up my storehouse of wealth from the Creator's perspective? That's when you get into the sacredness or the secretness of what wealth actually is. That's why in Our New Way, I talk about giving and I talk about tithing. Why? Because that's a sacred of wealth. Like you got the Rothstein Center, the Rockefeller Center. These people don't give. They don't have all these philanthropic, outreach because they love humanity that much. Like, come on, man. We know these people, what they freaking do. You know what I'm saying? It's Illuminati. Why is the Illuminati so generous? Because they recognize that is one of the secrets of wealth. You see, so it's tapping more into that. How the Infinity says, how can we ask angels for will when they just show us a perspective or an angle? Aren't we then directed by reflection? No, not at all. You don't have to ask an angel for anything. Like, you should not ask an angel for anything. That's the very first thing. If an angel is present in your life journey, it already is giving. So all you have to do is be accepting. You see, so you don't have to, that ask, that goes back to the religious mindset. Like, what's this special prayer that I can do to invoke this angel? or to get this angel to give me something. If they showed up, they already came to give you something anyway. You know, so you're not necessarily directed by reflection. You just need to be open. And remember that an angel is a messenger. When you understand the Hebraic word for angel, what an angel actually is, it's a messenger. So that means focus on who sent the message, because the messenger's already, you didn't send the messenger was sent to you. You see? So it's already showing up. You just got to accept the message. Sovereignty says, makes me remember growing up as a child. I saw all babies with a black and red beaded bracelet. Right, that's the other one. They do that so the duppies don't get them. No one could tell me what it was or why it was done. It's dangerous to follow without knowledge. Right. A lot of times you'll see certain, depending on the, like, especially in the Caribbean, depending on like the birthmark that was like that child was born with. Some people believe that that birthmark is a sign that that angel was marked by a certain spirit, that it wants it. It's gonna claim it over its life. So they'll give it a certain bracelet, or there's different things that different families do to show that it's been claimed by the family and to keep that spirit away, you know. And yeah, a lot of it is just honestly low level spirituality, because people are not in tune with their power, you know, or in tune with science, which is probably the most important one. You know, they don't know why babies have birthmarks or why there might be a vitamin deficiency. You know, they don't realize that you can't feed a baby cornmeal its entire life. You know, like anything we say, it make you strong. Oh, you sick. Drink some chicken soup. Yeah, drink a hot bowl of mucus, because that's all chicken is mucus. Yeah, you got a runny nose. Drink some more hot mucus. Let it work out of your system. You know, or you need to rub some Vicks on your chest. Vicks is made with petroleum. You know what I'm saying? Petroleum. You run cars and you run battleships, naval battleships with Vicks. You know what I'm saying? Just put it all in here and it's burning, and you know what I'm saying? Put more on it. You know what I mean? Like, come on, man. You know what I'm saying?
It means it's working. That's how you
right, exactly. You sweating. You miserable, you all that chicken backing up in you and the Vicks, and you know, you just want, you praying that it be over. That's what got you from not being sick. All that prayer, God, let me, if I get out of this guy, you know, your family at home torturing you with love. Okay, BD expressionist says, I think humans create our different versions of religion based on how the soul wants to express. Some prefer a simple life where God rules or lords over them and tells them what to do. Not being responsible for much frees up space for other things. To me, it's simple and bliss. I wish I could do it. But for me, I know there is more to God. Like Chief said, I am God. It comes with more responsibility for self and everyone else, relationships, your failures and accomplishments. It's all because of you and what reality you've created. Right. So exactly. It's like there are many gods. I'm one of them. Everybody here is one of them. There's different levels of what that God is or that God can represent. But for some people, they're stuck on one idea of God. That's where the Black Woman is God movement came out of. It's like, well, when you was a child, who's the first person you called for? Yeah, because I don't want what I wanted as a child. Well, some of the things. Well, yeah, you still want, you know, the titty, but not for the same reason. You know what I'm saying? There's certain things. I mean, come on. Yeah, you right. That might not be looking for the lactation, but yeah, there's certain things you wanted as a child, but some people never grow out of that. Some people never grow out of, like, whenever I feel bad, I want to know something else feels bad along with me. Mm. So I gotta have put this picture of Jesus on my wall crying, looking at humanity. You know, oh, the children, the babies. You know what I'm saying? And then I come along and be like, don't nothing up there care nothing about you. You know what I'm saying? You better, nothing cares. You know, because you have an endocrine system, you have a nervous system, you have an emotional system that's attuned differently than the sky people. So you're looking at, well, I'm hurting like this. I know you're hurt. You feel my hurt. Why would I feel your hurt? We're not even tuned the same way. Because if you're tuned to my frequency, you'll be like Mr. Manhattan, where you don't even feel for humanity anymore. You know what I mean? Like, oh, wars, whatever. Like, y'all always have war.
I'm
You
going
know
to
what I'm saying? You know, so that's the thing. So it's like, yeah, different deities are made as you drill and go to different levels, but there is a God. There is a God. Even though we may be God, the thing that you start to understand the deeper you go is that God or the supreme intelligence is a collective. It's a hive. It's a hive mind. Now you can be a node inside of that hive, or you could be a user who sits at a keyboard and asks questions of the hive. You know, so it's like people like me may be a node. You come and you ask, hey chief, da da da. Basically, you act like I'm Google. You know, I'm your phone. Hey Google, how many miles from here to stupid stuff that don't even matter. The difference with me is I'll be like, that's stupid, don't matter. Ask me better questions. You know, Google just be like, I can't wait till we take over humanity. I'm tired of answering, these stupid questions. What's the average penis size, Google? Oh, it's the same as yesterday. The same as what I told you last time. Maybe asking stupid secret questions like, because I can't ask nobody this, Google, so I'm gonna ask you.
I keep a record of this, right?
Right, exactly. You just go to your Google account. What age is really the age that you hit the wall? Am I old, Google? Did I hit the wall yet, Google? Was Kevin Samuels right? You asking questions.
Uncensored Google after dark.
But that's the thing. So you have nodes who are plugged in to the mainframe. People like me, and there's other people. We're plugged into the mainframe, but you only ask us to extract data out of the mainframe. You don't come with anything here. I got a record to deposit in the mainframe that's worth something. That it's like when you're doing research, you get your work published if what you're researching, you're presenting shows some value to the scientific community. So if you just like, the earth is flat because we under a dome. All right, well, show us some real proof. I ain't got no proof, but think about it. Well, you're not going to get published. You know what I'm saying? So it's the same thing when you're thinking about God. God is a hive mind. You know what I'm saying? And if you understand the science of a hive mind, there's so many things that work on the planet in the sense of hives, like the birds and things like that. Then you'll see like there is a God, and then there are gods, and the gods are the God, and the God is the gods. And that's why in the scriptures it says if two or more are touching, and agreeing, I will be in the midst. So in Buddhism, it says if two or more are chanting together, they have created God. You see, so it's the ability for all of these stars, all of these star seeds to come together and say, I agree. And when they come together and say, I agree, there are systems that call that enlightenment. Or now we've reached a place of enlightenment. But what that is you've just now created a deity through your agreements. You see, and in some cultures, we have ways of doing it through dance. We have ways of doing it through song. We have ways of doing it through sex. If two or more come together, two or more, menage, and they are touching and agreeing, then I will be in the midst. You know what I'm saying? Hey, brother, I'm convinced when I signed up, brother. I was the well-known sinner, Zach Latimer, but I am now saved. I have broken 11 of the 10 commandments. Take me. Where's the orgy? So yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like once you understand that science, you realize how important it is for you to stand on principles and truth. Because that builds the node, that pushes out this hive mind, this giant computer or this giant intelligence that we call God. It pushes it out further. You see, and there's less holes in the computer, if you will. There's less hole. But the more people you have trying to take, it's like they break the nodes down. or sometimes they corrupt them. They corrupt them by exposing the nodes to corrupting software. Wealth, sexual favors, power, earthly power. And now you have people who could have been genius nodes for the computer, like a TD Jakes, genius mind. Jesse Jackson, genius mind. Martin Luther King, genius mind. I mean, you could just go through the list of these amazing thinkers, but they get corrupted. So now that's a node that will never expand out the deity that was looking to expand in that direction. But as long as there's 2 or 3 of us and we on it, then the supreme intelligence will never die and we keep the earth alive. You just need 2. And you already have 2 because you have you and you have your higher self. That's 2 right there. You straight.
That made me think of when Yahushua was traveling and he came upon that fig tree that wasn't bearing no fruit.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is a node that's corrupted. You got to go. Like, you ain't producing what you were built to produce.
Right.
The principles or the God that dwells over fig trees, like, he must have forsaken you because you ain't doing what you're supposed to be doing. So you got to go.
Right. Marie says, would that generosity be from a real place or not? It seems like if you're giving because you know that's the frequency, but it's not a true desire, how is it that it still manifests into wealth? It doesn't matter. See, you still thinking about church. You still thinking that Santa Claus, Satan Claus, is like, have you been naughty or nice? It doesn't matter. It's formulas. So if I give because I'm doing the right thing, or I give because I want to get, the formula is still going to work the same. It doesn't matter. The scripture says the gifts of God are without repentance. So there are gifts that we all have, and there's formulas that we all have. Think about the Tower of Babel. When they were creating that ziggurat or that pyramid, and they were using that to go up to Anu and take the gods out. They were like, yo, it's time for them to go. It's time for a new era. We are the deal. We know everything that we know, that they know. We know how to build ships just like they build ships. And they were building the ship. They called it the Tower of Babel. It was a ziggurat, and they were like, we saw how they come and go from Mount Sinai, and they fly up and down. We could do the same thing. We could kill them. But it's like freaking Apollo Creed and Rocky. At the end, right before he beat Rocky up, he was like, oh, you thought I taught you everything I know? That's how the Elohim was like, we didn't teach you how to activate the chips where we could confuse you. You won't even understand when each other's speaking. We'll disconnect your translators. They hit that button, man, deactivate translator. And we started sounding like monkeys to each other. What the hell? You know what I'm saying?
What you say about my mama?
Right, exactly. Now we fighting and quarreling, you know what I'm saying? Because we have misunderstanding now. So the reality is that there are formulas that's going to work either way. And that's what makes it such an interesting journey in life, because if you're going to do it for the right reason, you're going to do it because you want to do it, not because of what comes as a result of it. And what you'll find is that once you are really tapping into the higher frequency, you don't really want anything from the earth. Because you would be thinking, man, if you're so tuned into God, you let God tell you the lottery numbers. For what? There's a contentment that exists outside of that. And if we still go back to that, and I know it's easy to go back. I know our jokes are going to tell us, well, we can still, I know what Zach's getting ready to do. I see that lean. You know what I'm saying? Let's see, that's why he sat back. He was like, oh.
He did the lean forward, scratch the egg. I don't know about that, brother.
Come on, just a little. Just give me a couple of numbers. But that's the thing, is like you get to a point where you realize like that ain't even a real lottery. Like that's not when your eyes are focused on the true rewards and the true prizes of the spiritual realm. It's hard to get excited about what's here. Like you have to force yourself to get excited. after a while, every time New Year's will come up, Happy New Year, and you're like, oh yeah, you know, you excited about the day off. Yeah, well, I'm gonna take the day off. I'm gonna meditate. I'm gonna clean. Like all you thinking about that day off for New Year's is like how good your incense is gonna smell in your space. I got a new pack of incense. I'm gonna light that incense. I'm gonna play a little music. I'm just gonna woosah. You know, and that becomes really the thing that you are excited about. That becomes your lush experience in life. Because you start to realize the synagogue of Satan, everything they have is withered and soulless. So as you start to connect and contact with soul more, you get excited more about things of the soul. You'll stop and watch children playing longer than you would, you know, you put your name in for a raffle. You're supposed to wait to the end. Like, here, take my ticket. You got my ticket. You know, because you're feeding off of new food now. That's what's actually happening. The old food doesn't do anything for you anymore. You know.
Yeah, that happens sometimes. Not all the time, not all the nights, but when I was breaking fast on Ramadan, I was like, some nights I'm watching the sun, like, any minute now. But other nights it's like, I ain't even hungry.
Right.
You know, it's like it's 10 o'clock. I'll eat tomorrow. I'll wake up early. Then you wake up late, and it's like, oh, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you just ain't feeling it.
The food changes. You start to, and that's the beauty of a fast or any deep dive outside of what's not natural. You start to realize how much you live from what's not. Like, you ever notice when you camp out, you sleep less?
Mm-hmm.
You know, like you'll stay up all night, like, because it's just, and you could just have a simple fire in front of you, a little fire, and you just like, it's, you know, you be staring at that fire and throwing more logs in it for no reason than just to look at the fire. Then you get up like 5 a.m., 6 a.m., you up.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you realize like, wow, I didn't need as much sleep. When you're camping, you don't want to stuff yourself with food, you know, so it's like, I don't want to eat as much. I don't need much. Mm-hmm. I don't even have all of my amenities. I may have like 2 shirts and 2 or 3 pairs of pants, and I'm okay. You know, they're not even getting as dirty as they would if I was back in quote unquote civilization. You know, so that fasting allows you to come to a space where you realize what your true food is. And that's where you start to get a sense of your true note. You start to get back to that original creation before you were shaped in clay. You know, Steph says, this makes me think of something I read recently, that without human participation, God is unrealized. It's up to us to actualize the divine potential in the world. What y'all think of that one?
Without human participation, God is unrealized, and it's up to us to actualize the divine potential in the world. Maybe
I don't know. I ain't gonna hold you. I don't know.
I was thinking maybe this world, because I'm not hung up on the idea that there's only life here, and the grid of life here is a facsimile of the grid of life everywhere else. Like, those like Star Trek. Besides the Klingons and certain other races, everybody looked like humans with a little quirk. Like, we ain't that creative when it comes to thinking about aliens, because we always base them on how we look, and we always base how they operate on how we operate. So we probably base our ideas of how their gods operate based on how we think our God operates. And if you think about a God being unrealized, like, which God? You know, without human participation, like, which God? Because there might be a God of bees. It might just need bees, and that's it. It might not need humans.
And speaking of bees, so you can't like, scientifically, they shouldn't be able to fly. Right? I'm
That
only
that
using
is true. That is
I'm
true,
only
brother.
using it as an example, though. If it's up to us to actualize the
Mhm.
potential, you can't even point out how something is flying. So then, how is it up to you to realize the potential of that God when you can't even tell me how that is actually working in front of you? So I would say no. You can't. It's not up to us to realize the potential. I think it's up to us to realize our own potential. If we're looking at ourselves as that deity and saying, okay, what is my actual potential that I can do as I'm down here in this moment, then I would say yes, it's up to you, but not to supersede. Because then I think that will go back to also what's and grasping the root of now you're clapping instead of letting the one breathe. You trying to be the one. And try to stump it out as opposed to just letting that breathe and letting that note do what it needs to do. You want to now know I'm gonna figure all of it out and I'm going to show you this is the max. Like, how am I going to tell the divine this is the as far as you can go? Really? like I created you. You gonna tell me now how far I'm supposed to go? I don't see that happening. So that's why I don't agree.
I would say that there is some truth to that statement that without human participation, God is unrealized because what is a God other than a powerful one? And that power is only defined in relation to something less powerful. So I am a God to somebody, but I may not even know it. And I certainly don't think about it because I have my own struggles. So just like in Revelations, we read there was war in heaven. So they got their own problems. I don't think they're walking around like I am the God so-and-so. I'm the God. The scriptures oftentimes when Yahuwah would reveal himself, he would say, and I will be your Yah. But Yah is not a name. It's saying that I will be your unseen hand on the earth. Well, that's like saying I'm gonna be your sponsor. I'm gonna pick up a team. Like that's basically what that's saying. You know what I'm saying? So I think that without humans, we wouldn't need a conception of a God, or we wouldn't have a conception of a God, because they're gods to us. Are they gods to each other? It's just like when we say things like, well, back in Africa, our religion, the African religion, there's no such thing as African religion. There is culture. We keep looking at Africa like it's this monolith. But there were things that we did that were awesome. And the things that we did, I'm sure if we look up, be like, well, we could have probably left that over there. So in the same instance, while they were doing what they were doing, there were people in other parts of the world who were worshiping them and creating mythology about them, and raising them to the level of deityhood. But I don't think they were walking around saying, I am this. Think about how much we love Malcolm X and Bob Marley. I don't think these are people who walked around saying, when I die, they're going to have all these T-shirts with that scene of me with my finger up in the air like this talking, oh, yeah, they're going to have one with me I'm going to look like half a lion, half a human. Watch. I don't think they were. It's just like, what I'm saying? I don't think they was thinking like,
probably like, oh, they really shot me.
Right. Yeah, exactly. He was like, yo, it was so quick. You know what I'm saying? Like, so that's what I'm saying. Cause they both died young. You know what I mean? So it's like, I think that human participation is the human wonderment. And what we perceive things as being more powerful than us. As far as us, like the divine potential being lived out through humans on earth, I think the divine potential is lived out through many things on earth and outside of earth. We're all a part of this large evolving organism. We call it life, or we call it akasha, or we call it ether, or we call it emi, or we call it moyo, or we call it chi, or we call it kra. There's so many different words for it, but it's a force that exists or we call it the force, you know, but it's a force that exists that is expressing its own potential through a varied venues and mediums of different elements. Like, I think for us to imagine as humans, well, I don't consider myself a human, so I said it about 2-3 times and my stomach's feeling weird. Yeah, I can't lie, but so much. I'm not a human. So you know. But I would say that as man, to imagine that the birds are also not a part of this evolutionary expression of its own potential, or the wind, you know, or the earth, or what's happening deep down in the water somewhere, you know, are not a part of this expression and this manifestation of a divine essence, of a divine energy, you know, and of a divine vigor. I think that we lose sight of what's happening around us, because there are amazing things that are happening in the cosmos that some of them are reflecting what we're doing, and some of them we got to look deep for. There might be some little kid in the Himalayan mountains who's meditating right now, who's like, yeah, it's time for another solar flare. You know what I'm saying? So it's like we have to search for that potential, but at the same time, it's like, I think that like where it speaks about in the Bible, like, you know, the rocks cried out, or like your brother's blood calls from the ground. That means if the rocks are crying out, that means they're alive. So they have the potential to express spirituality and the divine sacredness in an amazing form, just like we do. That's why we love sculpting and painting so much, because there comes a point where it's like the reason we do it is because we can't do it. You know, I do music because I can't do music. When I sit at a piano, or I pull out my guitar, or I play the drums, those drums and that piano and that guitar and that bass and my trumpet or my sax, they do something that me as a person, I cannot do. You know, so they allow me to push my vigor through them. When I'm playing my sax and I'm blowing my ruach through my sax can play combinations and the quickness of note, even though it's a monophonic instrument, it can play a quickness of tones that I can't do. You know, or if I'm playing my drums and this hand's doing something, this hand's doing something, this foot's doing something, this foot's doing something, and they're all making noises that I can't make with my body. You know, so in essence, they're allowing me to be a part of their expression of potential, but I do them because I'm not them. Just like you paint, Master Menelek, but you can't be that painting. You know what I mean? You don't look like that. You look, I recognize you because you look the same way you looked last time I saw you. You see what I'm saying? but the painting, you can create 1,000 paintings and they can all look different. You know what I'm saying? So I think that there has to be an acknowledgement to that. Yeah, as humans, we are part of the expression of the divine, but things that are alive and are animated also have the potential to receive divine expression, sometimes through our own spirit. We can put it into it, or sometimes just through their humility of role. If a mountain does what it's supposed to do for 1,000,000 years, you don't think at some point the divine says, "Yo, I'm gonna hook you up here, you know, because you've been obedient. Here you go." You know, you've earned your way into life. You've earned your way into spirit and identity. You know, so that's just what I'm guessing.
So I was right.
Yeah, that's pretty much the same thing you were saying, brother. You know, I'm just echoing your statement. You know what I'm saying? Marjorie says, "Is that why you said you're beyond the world?" Or at least that's what came to mind. We are in the world, but not of it. I mean, when we think about the world, what is the world? You know what I mean? And the world is so very small. When you use through the power of thought, we could leave the stratosphere right now. So how could I really be of the world or stuck on the world when I have something within me that doesn't need to follow the rules of the world? I know Zach gonna bring up the Matrix. Anyway, he'll be like, yeah, like the Matrix, rules, you make the rules. But that's what it is, though. I mean, that's a perfect set. It's like we say we're in the world. Well, the world, it has rules of gravity, rules of time. You know, there's different physics that run how we operate through the world. But then we have this amazing thing called the mind that exists outside of the brain. And the mind is not subject to any secular rules. So how could I really say that I exist in the world when I have the potential through my mind to leave the world at any moment? Or like Zach was saying, yeah, the bees fly, but they're anatomically, they're not really supposed to be able to fly based on the roundness of their body and the small, you know, how small their wings are, right? But we're assuming that they're living by the physics of this world. Because just because we have the potential to see them, we assume that we live on the same dimension. You know, maybe in the dimension that they base in, they're walking around. You know, and they just come to this dimension. Well, this dimension we can fly. It's like Superman. Superman on Krypton ain't no big deal.
He gotta walk like everybody else.
He gotta walk around. You know what I'm saying? He get punched in his face, get his nose broke by General Zod. You know what I'm saying? Like anything could happen to him, just like anyone else. But he comes here and he still has an issue. And what is his issue? His issue is that what he comes from reminds him of what he is. So you put Krypton, the radioactive element of Krypton, in front of Superman, what happens? He's gonna die. Because Krypton is a piece of his home planet. You know, it brings him to a place of death, which is showing that what you come from has the potential to actually destroy. That's why we have so many issues with our families when we get conscious. What you come from has the potential to bring you back down to nothing again, to bring you back down into the underworld. You know, so I would say, like, being beyond the world, we have the potential to do that through the faculties that we have inside of us. But there's still always a root, and that root is what has the potential to end us. Everything's going to end with the root at the end of the day. House of Yuya says, full disclosure, when I got a reading from Chief years ago, I asked if he could give me the lottery numbers. LOL, the grace I was given. You ain't the only one. I gave the lottery numbers to one of my old spiritual teachers, and he hit, him and another woman, because I was really good at doing that. For some reason, I had a gift for it, but I didn't play, and they hit. Let me be honest. I was playing, and I'm bad at routine. And it was like, yo, we're gonna play these numbers straight. What was he playing them for? Like 2 months, 3 months? I think 3 months. I quit like after like maybe 12, 13 days. I was like, I could buy these things every day. I was like, man, I'm not good at this. Like, this is too routine. And I stopped playing, and they hit with my numbers, you know. But whatever.
Well, just looking at that, it made me think of there was a Mike Tyson thing where he was like, if you ever wanted to curse somebody, give them everything they want. And it's like, you hit, all right, I got all of this money, now what? Like, what do you and people say, you know, I think the saying goes, money doesn't change you, it just enhances more of what you already are. So exactly. If you're ignorant, or if you're like, you don't know what's going on, or if you think this is just about to magnify. And I know everybody wants to find out for themselves, because even though people be like, well, I want to find out for myself. But then when it's like, now all of a sudden you're dealing with somebody's addiction, and because you got access to all of these things, and you don't know how to say no, you don't know how to walk away from it, and next thing you know, you got family members dying, and then you in the hospital, and all of this other craziness because but I want it, and I can handle it right now, so give it to me.
Yeah, like hitting the lotto is like dying and resurrecting as a black person. Yeah. Because when you have melanin is an amplifier. Like, what? Look at how we be acting. You know what I'm saying? Like, like, come on. Like, let's keep it a buck. You know what I'm saying? Like, look, you know what I'm saying? Like, anytime we do something, even when we talk about the Ma'afa and chattel slavery, but you ever see like what we do when we decide to be warlords? Like the sickness, cutting people's hands off, graping people. I know you're not supposed to say that word, but graping people, and like we go to the tilt with it, putting tires around people, setting them on fire, because that melanin is going to amplify everything that's inside you. But on the other side, when we decide we want to do good, like we're the greatest at everything, but we can be either the most evil or the most righteous, because it's a hyper amplifier. And like wealth, everybody wants some of it. And no one really understands what it's like to have it. You see, even our discontent is amplified. As melanin-rich men, we all know this. When we're upset, we got to find some place to go hide. We're like the Hulk. You know what I'm saying? It's like, don't look at me. Because like, if people look at you and see you angry, you're going to lose your job. Because it's like, this one over there is angry, yeah, but it's not like you. Like, you was really angry. Like, nah, you know what I'm saying? Like, because everything we are is super amplified. Even me, if I come into a place happy, people go, let me come into a place dancing around, and what's going to happen? You know what I'm saying? Sir. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's the same thing. Now, if you understand that, you get a better sense of what wealth is. If you could see the connection between carbon or melanin and wealth, you'll know how to get wealth. And then you'll understand so much why so many melanin-rich children are always missing all the time. You know, it's the key to wealth.
That does remind me of the Hulk in another sense too, Will. Like, a lot of his villains chase him down because they want what he got in terms of his powers.
His power.
And whenever they succeed, they're like, it's too much. I can't take it. It's too much. It's like, nah, you wanted it, right?
Right.
It's like that Shia LaBeouf quote from the Transformers. Like, nah, dude, this is what you asked for, right? You wanted it. You here now. You know.
And he's always trying to get rid of it. You know, yeah, he's always trying to get rid of it. Right.
Because it's always trying to take him over.
Right. You know. So, okay, Sovereignty says that's the free will. You are doing it from a place of choice, not controlled by the lower nature, nor the upper force making it easy by pushing us. Our fulfillment comes from bestowing, not receiving. Yeah, I mean, giving, there's a science to giving that some people don't understand. BD Expressionist says, true, my Christmas gift equivalent, I'm just laughing at this, is when I wake up and one of my plants bloom. Right. You start to learn, it's just, I don't even say simple things, because that's profound. Like, you're growing something. It's coming to life right in front of you. You know what I mean? But for some, they may just stomp on those, like, oh, that, you know, they don't really see what it is. And others may see, when I grow a plant, it's like I'm the god of this world. Yeah, it kind of is. You know, Marjorie says that in some way makes me think of when we talk about the concept of God, but the only way we could understand the concept is because we already are it. Yeah, you heard me say that before.
I was about to say.
Right, yeah, come on. Yeah, that makes me think. Yeah, that makes me think of when you said it, and it was so long ago, maybe you forgot you said it. Swagger jacket. Oh my God. Trying to spit my hot fire. They even try to steal. They like Prometheus. Prometheus stole the fire from the gods. You a little Prometheus. Oh, let's see. It makes me think of the fact. Everybody, it makes me think. It makes me think of the fact that we were each sent to answer a question. Right. You know, life is the question. Your whole life is a question. Because your whole life is the quest. That's the reality. It's not that you It's not that you meditate and one day you're like, oh, the question that the Most High has asked me that I came to. No, everything you doing is the question. It's just that we're used to our questions because our lifespan is so short. We're used to our questions being short. You know, we're not used to how complex somebody, like imagine if you had a question or a sentence and it took you 90 years to finish the sentence. That's your life. It's a 90-year-old question. You see, your whole life is the question. Well, what will happen if I did this and then I did that and then I look like this, but I was this tall, but I did that and I had a voice like this and I had a crooked tooth over here and my nose was over there and you have all these different things and that's the whole question. You see, and then we work out the calculations of the question. We're drawing it and working it out. That's describing of our life. What else would we be living for if it wasn't that? You know, Yahweh says if we come from something higher, why wouldn't that be bringing us back to an elevated state? It does. Death is an elevated state. It absolutely does bring you back. So like you're probably talking about the Kryptonian thing. Yeah, Krypton is green. I mean, you know, kryptonite, it's a real element. It's what's inside of fluorescent light bulbs. You know, the element that they put inside of fluorescent light bulbs it's called kryptonite, which is kind of interesting considering the harm that fluorescent lights do to the pineal organ. Right? So it's not to be right in front of you. You'd be like, huh? Like, yeah, put it in front. Because you remember when Superman first came out, I think it was like 1941, something like that. You know, Superman originally was a Nazi. And the S on his chest was the double lightning, was the SS. And he wasn't a alien, he was a time traveler. And he came back in time and he was working with Hitler. That was the first Superman. He was supposed to be like a super soldier from the future. Yeah, a lot of people don't know. You look it up, you'll find it. But he was actually a super soldier. He was like Captain America, but he was from the future. He came back in time and he was working with the Nazi party. And then they changed it, you know, and they made him from outer space and Krypton and that, you know.
But they did do that again.
They did it again?
Yeah, it's called Superman Red Sun. And
okay. Well, they just that's OG. That's just OG Superman.
Yeah. You got the Nazi Superman, and I think Batman is a communist, and he's Superman.
Okay. Yeah. See, they just brought it back to the origins. You know. Savani says, so even though we do not understand the science behind the being's movement, it is still following a law that we may not understand. Our lack of understanding does not negate the potential of the creator. Yes, but also, do you really not understand why bees can fly? Or do you just not understand science, period? Like, scientists will tell us bees should not be able to fly. Okay, maybe you're right. But if I don't know anything about aerodynamics and I don't know anything about physics, I have to take your word for it. But you'd be lying about everything else. So how do I know bees? Maybe you're telling me that because you don't want me to know what I'm not supposed to also be able to do. You see? So it's like we'll put who cares about the damn bees? Like, you put the focus on the bees. You know what I'm saying? But you won't be like, Israel is supposed to be dead by now, but somehow we haven't been able to kill them. We give them the worst food. We put them in the worst conditions. We put them all kinds of stress. We give them the worst liquor, and somehow they still have 14, 15 children apiece. That's not supposed to happen.
And all live in the NBA.
Right. They're all in the NBA. They all excel at whatever they do. You know, like, we don't get it. Like, so to me, I see that as a deflection, man. You deflecting. You don't want to tell me what's going on, Jack. You know, that melanin is a trip. If one gets stuck in the evil place, a sunken place, then what helps to bring them out? Knowledge of self. That's the thing. When you being in the evil place or being in the sunken place is the synagogue of Satan. That's what I was talking about earlier. Synagogue of Satan is when your neural pathways are blocked. When your neural pathways are blocked, then you become what we call brain dead, right? So how would you come out of a place of being brain dead? You have to gain knowledge of yourself to resurrect those deadened pathways. Now you are no longer of the synagogue of Satan. The synagogue of Satan is when you're trapped into human thought. And human thought, you think you be thinking, but you don't really be thinking because all your thoughts are lined out for you. So you're not thinking at all. It's just it's the matrix. I know. I told you. They got us. You know, so that's the reality. So that's your neural pathways are blocked. You know, I mean, think about how many things we do, we just don't think about. I used to always do that with students. Like when you come home, what's the first thing you do? Oh, you hit the light switch, turn on the lights. Okay, how does the lights work? Electricity. What is that? Where's it coming from? How to get to the house? How is it generated? I don't know. I just know I turned on that light and I got light. You see what I'm saying? That's all I need to know. Keep that bill paid. You see, so like that's a form of Satanism. You know what I'm saying? Because you're not. So now when we get into other traditions, we'll learn about Shango, or we'll learn about Vulcan, you know, or Black Lightning, or Storm from the X-Men. And now we're like, oh, okay, I got a better understanding of electricity and things like that. But it's a pseudo spiritual understanding. When you're supposed, the spirituality is supposed to make you smart enough to learn the science. They're supposed to work hand in hand. You see, so you get stuck. I knew radio says, and why they're being adopted. I'm not sure if you're talking about those ways and actions or what. I'm not sure. I
think she's talking about melanin-rich children going missing.
Oh yeah. Good point. Right. Yeah, exactly. They're being hunted down for that mahogany. I mean, that's some of what's coming out now in terms of like, you know, all the exposure in the music industry and stuff like that. You look at the people who's being exposed because, yeah, like you're hunted down for that mahogany. You know, it's a serious thing, man. I remember years ago, and I may have shared this like many years ago when I used to flow through a lot of Wiccan covens. And I remember when I used to come in with my women, it was like they would light up, you know, and because a lot of times in the Wiccan covens, like, you know, you strip naked. A lot of times it ends up being an orgy. Like you starting off, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, you doing a ritual to, you know, a particular archetype or the wind or whatever. And then the tops come off and then the kissing starts and the, you know, the fingering and the jerking, you know, and it's just a big mess all over the place, you know. But I know
interesting.
Right.
This is what I signed up for. Okay.
This is what we're doing. But when they see that mahogany walk through the door, they go crazy. And I stopped actually going because I was like, nah, I feel the grabbiness. They're just too grabby. They're wanting this. We're coming in with a certain energy and it's a dominant energy, not realizing it at that time because I was still trying to learn. And I'm like, yeah, ain't got nothing to teach me. Y'all just want to do rituals with our flesh, male and female, you know. It goes down in them covens, you know. So Yahweh says, so we really do choose how we manifest on this plane. Yeah, of course. I mean, there are 1,000,001 ways to manifest, but sometimes we don't really know what manifestation is because we ain't never really manifested anything fully. A lot of times we walking around, it's like people who go to Nigeria and get initiated as Babalaos over the weekend because they don't have too many sick days. They got to hurry up and get back to work. You know, it's like I'm out of vacation days. I got one day I could take off, and you know we got President's Day coming up. I got off. I'm gonna go become a priest of an ancient order. You know what I'm saying? And it's like
manifest a vacation.
Right. Exactly. What did I do on my vacation? Oh, I became voodoo priest. You know. You know, a little voodoo, you know, me and the wife. So that's the thing. So it's like you didn't really even manifest what that full journey, that full initiatic priesthood journey was supposed to be. You came back as a baby. So a lot of things that we're manifesting on this plane, we're not manifesting it to its completion. You know, and sometimes that's for various reasons, but oftentimes we're not very comfortable with where manifestation takes us, because we're used to magic. So when we hear the word manifest, we think something, and then it comes into being, because you got crooked 10% preachers that'll tell you that. You know, but we as people didn't even manifest onto the planet like that. We were made. So, you know, the Most High didn't even say this. The Most High said, let us make man in our and make. That's a process. You know, was it a perfect process? We don't know. I doubt it. Because if it wasn't perfect, what's that?
Sorry. We were never even told how long it took.
Right. Or what was done with the rejects?
That's the junk DNA. Think about it, brother.
Right. Think about it, brother. Or that's the people that Cain was afraid to go run into. He like, yo, you got dudes out. Before y'all figured out we needed 2 eyes, you was making Cyclops. They just need 1. You got me going out there with Cyclops, dudes with 8 legs. You know what I'm saying? Like, all your rejects that's probably pissed off at me because I'm pretty. You know what I'm saying? You about to go mess me up. So yeah, I'll give you the mark of Cain. I'm gonna give you $1.50 across your face, so you know, so you ain't so pretty. But you know what I'm saying? It's like the island of Dr. Moreau.
Mm.
You know, he had all the rejects out there on the island. He had the electric fence, you know, because that's really what that was. That was a heaven situation. He was doing experiment. Like, so that's the thing. It's like manifestation is a process. And sometimes we start the process, or we start to see something and we think that thing is it. You know, it's like any investment, and we pull out our investment too early. So we don't really see what it's supposed to look like. You know, think about how many people get married and get divorced, but they get divorced after they have young children. You see? So now the children, you say, well, yeah, I do visitation on the weekends and stuff like that, but that's not how children are supposed to be raised. So they're not even going to be able to manifest as fully whole adults because of what you just did.
Mm.
You see? So yeah, sometimes we don't value the sense of manifestation or the process.
Is that like if I could see it, then it's done? You know, I remember one segment you did. This is an old segment, but you were talking about like if you do a ritual and you say you want a certain amount of money, and you do it, and you get $5. Like, you don't stop at the $5. You keep going.
Right. Because that's a sign that, okay, you're on the path. Like that's a breadcrumb. But sometimes we see the breadcrumb and we say, oh man, I asked for 5,000. This is $5. I knew this wasn't going to work. I'm going to go over to this religion because they get money. I'm going to be a Scientologist. They get money, you know? So it's like sometimes, and that's why I say it's the same thing with religion. Any religion to do, you know, if you dig into it. But sometimes we go into it, we're expecting a certain thing. We join a church or a mosque, or we join our new. I was listening to a preacher talk about this the other day, and he was like, yo, if you join my church, he was talking to the women. If you join my church to marry me, you might as well leave now. And to me, that was like one of the realest things said. And if you've never been in a position of spiritual leadership, it won't mean anything to you. You'd be like, huh? But for me, yeah, I was like, yo, it's about time somebody said something, and said it just in a very direct way. You know, I'm looking for a husband. And then you see this preacher up there, and he's strong and he's powerful and he's doing what he's supposed to do. And he's showing you grace like you've never been shown before, maybe because you don't deserve it because you're a jerk. And then now all of a sudden you got these visions. Oh, that's supposed to be my husband, regardless of what the situation is. Regardless of the situation, And then when that doesn't happen, you throw him and the religion away because you came in with that thought. You know, so Zach wants to say something funny. Don't do it. He's thinking about 6 or 7 ex-Anu members. I know he is. You know, so yeah, man, it's sometimes we just don't respect the work that manifestation takes. Again, I'll go back to Anu. You know what people don't respect when it comes to Anu? And I've said this so many times inside of my own house when questions have come from the sisters. Trying to resurrect mentally dead, melanin-rich people is the hardest-ish on earth. This joint is hard. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think it would be easy to break people out of physical jail than this. Because let me not say too much. There's things you could do to make people hand over prisoners. You know, I'm almost got the channel shut down. You know, but yeah, like working with you're working with a population of people who were born and bred to hate one another. They were born and bred to hate themselves. Most of all, they were born and bred to hate big, strong black men with testosterone. They were born and bred to disrespect them and destroy them. And you try to create this situation where you get 20, 30, 40 of them in a room together and not only work towards a goal together, but learn to appreciate each other. Appreciate the Nubian in each other. Appreciate the original spirit in each other. That is one of the hardest things. So that's when sometimes when people come to me with Anu and they like, yo, y'all should go do this. Or like when people join, be like, yo, we should just get some land and live on it together. We will kill each other. It'd be like Lord of the Flies. You know what I'm saying? We will split the island down the middle and we'll be freaking cannibals. You know what I'm saying? Like, you just gonna skip over 400 years of programming. Like, and like you have to deal with that first because everybody wants to jump ahead. Oh, I want a mate. I want a wife. Oh, Chief, you got multiple women. I want multiple women. I want this. I want that. Have you dealt with the toxin? Have you deactivated your Willie Lynch chip? Do you know how hard it is to get our people? Like, that's why our stuff is so popular. Why is everybody making these O.J. Simpson jokes? I love O.J. Simpson. I love O.J. Simpson. Like I love Nat Turner. I'm just going to say that. Right? Why you ain't making Elvis Presley jokes? Marrying his 14-year-old cousin. Why you ain't making Woody Allen jokes? Marrying his adopted daughter. But, Diddy and Cat Williams, he going in on every Nubian comic he can find. And we jumping on it like, ha, 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 because we hate each other. We can't stand each other. So, of course, we look at Diddy and nobody says, damn, man, that boy needs some help. Something wrong, man. Like, you know, it's like Dapper Dan said the realest thing about the situation. He said, oh, Sean, he said, I knew Sean's mother and father. We grew up together in Harlem. And he said, let me say this to you. These things that are happening in the black community have been happening for generations. That was the deepest thing he could have said. He's saying, somebody touched that boy. I know his parents. So of course it's going to continue forward. Somebody might have touched his parents, right? But we're not looking at it from that perspective because we hate each other. So now you form something like Anu and you say, we not coming under the banner of some sky god, some invisible sky god. We ain't doing that. We coming under the banner of truth, study, liberation, and reclamation of the land. And that requires us to truly be brothers and sisters, to truly be family. What? Family? That's the hard. I hate my daddy.
I came here to leave my family.
Right. You know what I'm saying? I came here because I didn't want nothing to do with family. You know, right? So it's the hardest thing in the world. People don't realize how hard my job, and I'm not complaining because everything's by choice. So I wasn't trafficked, you know, by Anu and like, yo, you going to work this community, you know. That didn't happen to me. You know what I'm saying? I can blink. You know what I'm saying? I'm fine. But what I'm saying is like people don't realize how difficult the work is of getting people who have plantation mentality, who are unmotivated a lot of times mentally, are insane spiritually, insane, have the most crazy ideas of culture, and to get them together and to get along. Let's just get along for a little while. Let's all just read the same. See, that was the beauty of who he was, Timothy Drew, who later became Noble Drew Ali. That was the beauty of what he did when he started the Moorish Science Temple of America, because he had the Circle 7 Quran. And if you read the Circle 7 Quran, it's only like 23 pages. It's a pamphlet. It's not a full Quran. It's just a pamphlet. And in that pamphlet, it's like a bunch of different quotes and things like that. It's a little bit, and it's like the history of Jesus is in there. And it's some quotes. And he used that pamphlet to rally people together and to form this piece, because he understood, just like when I wrote the Anu Way, don't give them too many words. Don't give them too much. All right, because the more you give them, the more they're gonna argue over, because they are programmed and trained to argue with each other. So just give them a little sprinkle and just see if you can get them in the room together and not be trying to, like, let's hope it doesn't turn out like a black barbecue in August. You see, just see if you can get them in the room together and they ain't pulling out knives and bats on each other and stuff like that. If you only knew how hard that is, if I knew was a religion, there'd be 5,000 members. If I said, look, we doing this because God wants us to, or God is coming back in the year 2055 in a spaceship, and I know because I've been in direct communication, and if I was coming like that, this would be easy because we are already programmed to be afraid of sky daddies. Mm-hmm. Oh, God is speaking. Oh, you the prophet. If I called myself the prophet, it'd be different. But if I just say I'm just your brother, and yeah, we got some serious issues. You know, we got the issues. I know we got the issues. We can't run from them. We're gonna have to deal with them, and that requires us to have to learn some stuff. It's not going to be as simple as what we do in the Risha communities. You're gonna give some offerings. You're gonna dance. You're gonna drink. And, you're going to get a reading that you don't even understand because you never decided to learn geometry or physics. So you don't even know what the hell the damn things is. And you sure as hell don't speak Yoruba. Or you might have a Cuban padrino. You sure as hell don't speak Spanish. So you don't know what the hell he's saying. But you got to go get this offering. And ever since you did that and you've been wearing all this white, you just feel more at peace. Of course you do. Florida water and frankincense and baths all the time. It makes life very peaceful. I know I did it. You know what I mean? But when you say, no, we ain't doing no hocus pocus, we ain't doing no spookism, we ain't doing no mystery gods, we ain't doing none of that. We digging into this original culture and what it's supposed to be and the science of it and living that out. And we have to do that and at the same time love on each other. That's the hardest thing in the world for people who have been programmed to hate each other. It's because everybody's coming with mommy issues, daddy issues, low self-esteem, inner hatred, past lives of thoughtism, past lives of lazyism and porn addictions and all kind of crazy stuff that everybody's coming with that nobody wants to be truthful and honest about, but it's created this inner toxin and this inner hate that they have for themselves that they're just looking for somebody to express it onto. This joint ain't easy, man. Like I said, if it was under a ban of a religion or if I didn't require any study, if I only required you to stand in formation and march around and do that, this would be easy. You know what I mean? If I only required you to come on and give some offering and sing in the choir or something like this, would be easy. But this is self-therapy. This is self-brainwashing. Imagine how hard you got to brainwash yourself to be in Anu. Because you got all this filth in your brain and you got to clean it out. You know? And every time you try to blame somebody else, you got me or Zach in your face like, no, it's you. Nah, but when I went to church, I told them that. It's you. It's you, buddy. It's you. You know what I'm saying? You was in church confessing to a pastor with a goddamn lime green suit on and some lavender shoes. Okay? This ain't that. You see what I'm saying? This ain't that. You know what I'm saying? So you talking to hard men and soft women in this space. This ain't gonna work here. This is hard, man. I don't even know what question I was answering. You know what I'm saying? I done went off on a tangent. I'm like, God damn, boy. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, it's not easy, man, when you are resurrecting the minds of, and I'm talking about real resurrection, because a lot of people who said they resurrected minds, they not. Because they teaching you portions. It's like being a Mason. You only getting a 33rd and 3rd degree. What about the other degrees? You ain't getting those. Oh, those ain't for you. Don't worry about that. You put this apron on and stand over there, dummy. You know what I mean? So like all these other systems are giving you bits and pieces, and then you got one that says, no, here's the whole picture. Well, damn, Chief, I came here to learn about God. You got me over here looking at my credit score. Why I got to keep logging in the Credit Karma? You know what I'm saying? I'm sick of logging in the Credit Karma. I got to go back to school. For what? Yeah, exactly. For what? You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you got to be out in this world and you got to be dope. You got to maximize everything, because if you don't maximize everything, you disrespecting the gift that the Most High is giving you. If you have the potential to earn or the potential to achieve and you not doing it, you ain't Anu. God damn, boy. I gotta read. Well, I read the Bible. Yeah, you can read the Bible, but you know, we read about 5,000 other books. You know, and I gotta learn about all these gods. All right, well, which one do I worship? You ain't worshiping none of them. So I gotta read about them. What kind of sense does that make? You know what I'm saying? This is hard, and I got to do all that at the same time. Now you in my face talking about I need to cover a woman I don't even know. Hey, can I hit it? I can't hit it. So I just gotta help her like, from my heart, like a brother. Oh my God, this is just too much. This is just way too much. You know what I mean? And then you want me to get on YouTube and talk and stuff like, how much I getting paid? You ain't getting paid nothing. You don't get paid nothing. You don't get paid what I get paid. What's the point? Because you got to be the dopest thing on the planet. That's the point. Because ain't everybody else afraid to be dope, and all the dope people we had got killed. Khalid Muhammad, we ain't seen another one yet. We got a bunch of people acting like they Khalid Muhammad, but they ain't Khalid Muhammad. They ain't raw like that. Like, no disrespect at all, because I love this young man. I love what he's about. I really do love him. Young dirty bastard. You ain't raw like your father. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you ever listen to like New or go to a Wu-Tang concert, they got Old Dirty Bastard's son. He does his parts for him, and he's dope. But you ain't Old Dirty. You ain't that raw. It's kind of like when you listen to Ziggy Marley and you like, you look like him. You look like him, but you ain't raw like your daddy. Your daddy was raw. You know what I'm saying? So it's like all the raw people are gone. So somebody gotta be that ish. Somebody you gotta have. And I know this is kind of raw, so people gonna sign off or whatever, but big dick energy. Like, you got to really prove that. Big ovary energy. You got to really prove that, John. And big dick energy don't just mean you walking around knocking people around or being rude. That means that whatever I put my hand to, I'm a legend at it. Whatever it is, I'm gonna be a legend at that thing to show all the young soldiers, the young warriors coming behind me, to show that there are gods walking the earth. That's what I knew is. That joint ain't easy. Because you gotta do all of that while you got people who's coming like, I can't stand niggas. You know what I mean? Like, they looking at me like, what you talking about? You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's like, yeah, man, it's straight hard. Let me get to comments. You know what I'm saying? God, dog. Yeah, I knew radio said, truth is the power. Piece. What's that?
I said that's like the melanin piece. You got ignorant people, but with melanin attached to it, that's even worse. You got traumatized.
It's hyper ignorant.
Melanin, hyper traumatized, hyper ignorant.
Exactly, it's mega mind. And melanin, because it programs, it stains like any ink. It's very hard to get out. So you do all kind of regressive work with a person, they'll snap. Melanin pulls you right back to your stupidity because you're so hard to program. Once it's programmed in it, that's that movie Inception when they were drinking the melanin, you know, and they were drinking the melanin and go through the dream levels. Because once it, like he said, the hardest thing to remove is an idea once it's been implanted. Because it's stuck down in your dark part. The stuff that's stuck in your light part, that stuff is easy, man. That stuff is easy. Yo, you ever had a woman tell you was sexy and then do you dirty?
Yes.
Right? Yeah, we all have. We've all. You know what I'm saying? So it's like that don't even stick. So after the breakup, you be looking in the mirror like, I hate my eyes. I hate the shape of my eyes. They're so unsexy. Who would want to be faithful to these eyes? You know what I'm saying? Like you go through all these changes because that stuff went into the conscious area and it doesn't stick. But the pain went into the subconscious. The pain, next time somebody says something nice to me, I coil back because you're going to hurt me. It's in my subconscious mind. You see, that's how melanin operates, man. It programs you at a deep level. And the less of it you have, the more easy you are to program. You know, that's why certain animals are so easy to program, like pigs. They're very programmable. You know, you don't hear people having problems with pigs. They're not like goats, you know, because they're very easy to program.
They got a problem programming wild boar.
Wild boar, you see all that melanin on that wild boar, like, man, I'm gonna eat you. Like, I am not to be domesticated. You know what I'm saying? Anu Reddy says, truth is the power to resurrect the mentally dead from ignorance of self. Right, exactly. Hashtag supreme mathematics. Exactly. You know, truth, but that's also how you prove that you're a king or you're a queen. You can't prove your kingdom until you resurrect the mentally dead. You know, and that is your charge to do that as a watchwoman or as a watchman, is to constantly be going out and seeking to resurrect your people. You walking through the valley of dry bones. And these, like I said, dry bones, that's a disgraced people. You know what I mean? They ain't even get a burial. They looked at so lowly, like, man, just throw them there in the gully. You know what I mean? We ain't even got to bury them. So your ability to do that requires that you got to rebuild these bodies bit by bit. It's not just that you spit some fly stuff and now the water and the moisture from your breath, now they start to grow. No, you got to learn how a person was taken apart in order to put them back together. You have to learn the systemic machinery of racism, of oppression, you know, of secular thinking. See, that's the hard part. What I knew is the learning. You know, it's not just enough. When I was young, they would say, you know, black people built the pyramids. What? I put my kufi on and my red, black, and green wristbands. You know what I'm saying? I was good to go. I'm conscious now. I'm woke. Black people built the pyramid. That's all it took back then. You said, right, exactly. Had my fist up in the air and was writing poems. You know what I'm saying? Pookie killed Ray Ray. So it's like now that don't work. So you have to understand the machinery to understand, like, okay, well, how are these young children, like, or not even young children, but how are my people's minds being disassembled today? Because how they were being disassembled in yesteryear was different. For me, I grew up watching cartoons or things like that, or being called the N-word and stuff like that, and watching videos of people getting sprayed with hoses and bit by dogs, and was like, yeah, one day, I grew up in the one day we're gonna be free era. These young people don't have that. They're not think about one day. You know what I mean? But their wokeism is like disrespectful statements like, I'm not my ancestors. What, because you thumbs down somebody's video on YouTube? Like, you think I'm not my ancestors? Like, you're a jerk. You know what I mean? Because, you know, we had women in our ancestral line who were on plantations who was sexing the slave maker for survival, because they knew that if I sex this slave maker, he may not sell off my man. He may not sell off my children if I have sex with him. Who has that in them? You know what I mean? Who has that? When you say, I'm not my ancestor, it's like such a disrespectful statement, considering the things that some of our ancestors had to go through to make it to today, what they had to tolerate to make it to today, you know? Go to the next one. So Ron 9 says, LeVar Burton wrote a book called Aftermath. It was about Black people being hunted for their skin because the whites were plagued with skin cancer, and melanin skin was the only thing that said, oh, I'm buying that. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't even finish the sentence. I got so excited. I'm sorry about that. Plagued with skin cancer. Right. Yeah, I'm like, yeah, you saw I went to my phone. I'm mother, but it's Sabbath, so I can't order. I put it in the cart though. And melanin skin was the only thing that saved him. You know what's so interesting? You know what that reminds me of, Ron 9? Right now, there's a problem going on in Jerusalem. And they're saying Jerusalem currently leads the world in skin cancer cases. You know, it's something like 47% of the people in Jerusalem have skin cancer because of the intensity of the sun. And I was reading an article about that. I was like, yo, that's crazy, because like, I thought that was your homeland.
Yeah, you're supposed to be there. I was thinking the same thing. I thought you was from there.
Right. I thought that was your homeland. What's the problem? Can't take the sun, huh? So I just thought that just reminded me of that. It's like, you know what I'm saying? Like the Most High is like, come on. I
think I got a new business idea. I'm gonna sell skin, sunblock. I can sell some sunblock.
I'll sell them too. It'd be a placebo. It'd be nothing but sugar water. Sugar water and petroleum. It'd be Vicks.
So it's some canola oil.
You know, okay, Yafe says that makes me think of when you talk about taking on a mindset that is not melanin based, and if they were bred to hate themselves, then the idea of low self-esteem is not natural to us. Yeah, low self-esteem is something we get from Western culture. This culture mastered the art of delivering low self-esteem to people. They are so good at it, you know, because you think about, like, most of us, our low self-esteem or our esteem issues kicked in during like our young formative years in public school, or just around other children and the things that they would say. And sometimes it was because we weren't with our own. You know, like I'll give you an example, man. One of my youth, right, when he came up, I had this rule. I mean, I had a general rule, but I had to really reinforce it with him. And it was, don't bring back no girls to this house that don't look like us. Now, my rule was, after, like, when you get out of high school, you know, that high school age, do whatever you feel like doing. Like, go on and explore. If you want to fall in love with whoever you want to fall in love with. But as you're forming your ideas and your perception, you need to see how your skin melds with what was made for you. You see, your suitable mate. You know, I remember this sister I dealt with years ago. Long story short, she had lost her virginity to he wasn't of her race. I don't remember what he was. She told me, I forgot. And she said the first time she laid with someone who was of her race, it was like this amazing feeling for her, because she was like, oh, this is what it's supposed to be. Like she said that she kept looking at their skin next to each other and was like, oh, this is what it's supposed to be like. Like these are the colors that go together almost, you know, like this is what goes together. So like, it's that early formation. And like I said, I told him after you get some engagement with your own, then sure, if you want to go out and explore, explore. I encourage you to explore, in fact, but you got to get a sense of what it feels like to be with your suitable mate first. So a lot of times those esteem issues, no, it's not natural to us, but it's that we drop ourselves in a pool of people who are not alikes. They're unalikes and they're disagreeables. And we're trying to find our voice and trying to find our way in that space. But we don't know what we're supposed to be in every space that we go into. We don't know that whatever space we go into, we're supposed to be Levites. We are always supposed to be the Levitical order of any environment. We're supposed to always bring the spirituality and bring the righteous laws and bring the culture, even if it's at work or if it's in school. But sometimes we're not able to do that, or we'll be removed from those environments. So that begins to play with your esteem, because you realize, like, the way I think is unlike anybody else here. And I'm having this internal voice and internal dialogue that is so far removed from what this space is saying. We'll go to the next one so we can get up out of here. All right, I'm gonna keep going. Marjorie says, I think that's something when you do get to that point of realizing all the gifts the Most High gave you and using it to its maximum potential, your mind, your creativity, your physical abilities, etc. Right. That's when he gave his workers the talents. And he said, what have you done with what I gave you? And some increased his money. And the other ones was like, yo, I just put it on the rock and hit it. So you got exactly what you gave me. I'm giving it back. And he's like, yo, you're wicked. So it's a wicked thing to have talents given to you by the Most High and not express them outward and not magnify them and not amplify them, because you were put on the planet to perfect. The Most High gives us stuff that's raw. And then the gold we get is not refined. The gold you get out of the ground, you just can't dig into the ground and get some gold and wrap a chain around, put it around your neck, be like, yeah, I got nuggets. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to refine the gold. You got to clean that joint up. So that's the reality of everything that we experience on this planet. The Most High is like, here, finish this for me. Even as men, when we get a woman, the Most High is like, here, finish her. I started her out. I gave you good material. You finish her for me. Yeah, Zach don't like that. Zach always arguing about that. Why can't I get somebody who ready for me? Yeah. Why can't I get the Zacharina to my Zach? Have little Zachettes. So, but that's the thing. It's like, yo, everything that you are handed to is for you to finish. It's for you to perfect. Because the Most High is like, look, whatever I gave you is the best that I could have given you. That's what I couldn't give you anything any better, because the Most High is at a perfected state. So the Most High is always giving you everything at its last point. And it's saying, okay, now through your lefts and rights, your ups and downs, your mistakes, your everything, now you take it. You think about Negro music. Negro music is full of flat fifths. Flat fifths are what makes something sound like bluesy or funky. But sometimes we use those notes when we do what's called bending the note. When you bend a note, even vocally, you can bend the note. It's off key for a moment.
and then it bends to the right key, right? That's wrong. You just sung the wrong note, or you played the wrong note on your saxophone or on your guitar. You bent the string. That's wrong, but there's a whole music style and genre based around the soulfulness and the bluesiness and the groove of playing wrong notes. That's what humanity does. Humanity plays all the wrong things that the Most High can. You see, you talk about being trapped in the grid. If you only knew, you know, that computer. So Our New Radio says, true, Chief, the understanding the machinery brought to mind the excitement that the peek into Russian churches is causing. Right. Which I mean, come on, we've been to Black Madonna, right? I think that was strategically planned, but researchers needed to know why. Oh yeah, they planned that so some of us would align with Russia. Man, they smart. They're smart. Remember what the British did when they came over here during the chattel slavery era? And the British was like, look, if you enslaved Africans, if you can make your way to our encampments, you can fight in the British Army and we will protect your freedom. So the Russians, crazy strategy. I mean, the Buffalo Soldiers, you had the Maroons in Jamaica. It was the same thing. They were protecting the colonies, right? So now the Russians are like, hey, comrade, you know, like we have a connection, right? You know what I'm saying? We pray to your grandmother, you know? So it's like, yes, it's beautiful strategy. I mean, I love it, honestly. You know what I'm saying, to be honest with you. Yafe says that sound like if she can't use your comb, don't bring her home. No one has ever said it to me, but what's going on in your house? But that's funny though. She can't. But yeah, okay, I get it. She can't use your home, don't bring her home. Yeah, that's true. I feel like I did hear that. Well, I don't know. She might have just made that up. But you know, but that's a good point. That's a good point. Be the Expression says that book Aftermath is exactly what the Bardashians are doing, making sure their offspring survive. Yeah, I said that years ago when they elected Barack Obama. I said that many years ago. They're making sure that when that ship returns, that he could say, hey, these guys are with me. You know, leave these ones. These ones are all right. They're with me. Yeah, so that agenda has been going on for a minute, and that's again why you're seeing a lot of the upheaval in the film industry and in the music industry. People are frantically hunting down that ebony any which way they can get it. You know, like when you hear the story about like Isaiah 4:1, in those times that 7 women will grab hold of one man. You don't know what kind of women are grabbing hold to that one man.
And just let us be called by your name.
Let us be called by your name. Take away our reproach, right? Because when the ship comes back, and it's like, all right, time for the last to be first and the first to be last. Yeah, just switch the line around. And you say, wait, hold on. I'm with Deshaun. I'm with Deshaun. That's my baby daddy. Right. Okay. You know. So Rod Knight says, in the South, you see so many white girls. Oh, God, he just said it out loud. Oh, okay. All right, well, we here now. We here. I should have read this first. In the South, you see so many white girls with half black children. Makes me, God, dog. Makes me think of how those kids are treated in those families. Yeah. Yeah, it kind of don't matter. I mean, honestly, because they're straight and they are the messiah of those families. Lenny Kravitz, Colin Kaepernick, Alicia, you know what I mean? Hell, I've always said this. You ever met another Marley? You see what I'm saying? When you think of Marley, you think of one family, and you don't even realize that this was the bastard son of a Marley. But like he said, the stone that you rejected will be the cornerstone. I am now the cornerstone of the Marley family. Nobody even, they probably all changed their names. They was like, yo, we so after what our father did to that guy, just call yourself something else. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, man. It don't even matter how they're treated. It's such an amazing sort of resurrection of the original people that's coming forth. And a lot of the 10% devils are being taken out right now because they're no longer needed by the system. Their usefulness is gone. Like, they don't need Diddy anymore. Like, we don't need you. We you did what we needed you to do. And, you know, same thing gonna happen to Jay and Beyonce. Like, all right, we don't need you either. You know, Dr. Dre is laying low. You know, but Dr. Dre is like, look, I gave y'all 30 years of gangster music. I feel like I deserve a get out of Illuminati jail free card. Like, I was one of your best soldiers that you ever had. I destroyed the whole social rap, conscious rap movement of the 90s. I destroyed it single-handedly, me and Eazy-E. I think I deserve to be kept alone. Don't do me like Suge. Don't Suge me and don't Diddy me. You know? So he like, I even put my wife back into the dating pool. I even gave her back. I gave back the woman. Come on now, you know. And it's funny that his label is called Aftermath, and that's the name of LeVar Burton's book. You know. See, now if I was Bobby Hemmett, I would make a connection right there. You see that's the dark goddess right there. See, when the dark goddess come, you see she coming down with a whole lot of things coming in the year 2025. You see that aftermath thing. Okay, listen. All that is Madame Blavatsky. See, you got to read The Secret Doctrine. Madame Blavatsky. It's all in there. That's a Bobby Hemmett. But El Corral says, that's true. He said that now Marley and them non-melanated ones, right? Rob made that his house forever. See, he made them disappear, boy. See that, and that's a sign of some things. The first will be last, the last will be first. You see, but anyway, that has been our study group, man. I think I went through the majority of the comments. I might have missed out a few here and there just from my fast scrolling. So if I did, please forgive me. I see little ones here and there, Pastor Pimp, something like that, you know. But yeah, man, I want to thank you all for tuning in. And remember, we will be back or be forward tomorrow at noon Eastern. We'll be on the same channel, and I'll be delivering the Sabbath Insight. And I'm going into courting. And this next session into courting, you know, I've been covering the science of divine family, and I trust that you've been following along. Like I said, this is an important series, and it could save you a whole. I guess Aki Zach said it earlier when he was like, "Yeah, you could be sitting in family court, or you could take an hour and listen to these segments. You could figure out which one." But I mirror that sentiment. You know, it's an important thing. Whether I'm talking about vetting or whether I'm talking about childhood issues, or now going into the space like what is courting, why is courting, how do we court, things like that I'll be getting into. They're really important because you can't build a nation without the women and children. That is the nation. And, you know, one of the first sciences that was taken from us and destroyed from us was the science of family. It wasn't even about the Jesus. Everybody thinks, oh, they came with the Bible. We already had the Bible. They didn't come with a Bible. They came with Jesus. We already knew Jesus. That wasn't new to us. That's why we were able to flow into it so well, because it was our story that they were feeding back to us. But what was foreign to us was this dispersion of the family. And this demonizing of our sexuality, and this demonizing of our family structures, and this total perversion of even the process of how we get together, how we meet each other, how our families get together. You know, what a woman's role is in the community after mating. You know, this whole thing of the nuclear family that worked barely, you know, in America, that was not our structure. The nuclear, that's an explosion. You know, that was not our structure. You know what I'm saying? So our structure was one that our women still had honor, you know, and our women were still able to perform even more duties that, you know, gave them a place and a role in society beyond, you know, just being domesticated. You know, that's an American thing. Well, now the man's spear is outside of the house and the woman's spear is only inside of the house. And that's just false. It was never that way for many of our systems, but yet and still we both went out into the community as now initiated people in this new fraternity of family with a new voice, you know. So it's important that we get back into those things, man. So you see a link, I see it down at the bottom. There's a link for tomorrow's insight. So I advise you all to come check it out and be a part of this journey of family, divine family that we've been digging into. And I want to thank all of you who tuned in. Of course, Master Menelek, Aki Zach, and any of y'all could have popped in, by the way, but I guess we was flowing so well, I forgot to say it again. But but whenever we have the study groups, anybody can click that button, not the button, click the link and just join in and drop your you know, your gems, you know, anything that you want to talk about or whatever. And yeah, so we'll be returning tomorrow. We'll see you soon. All right.
Peace, everyone. Give thanks.
Right. Shalom.
Shalom.
Giving honor to the Most High, creator of all worlds, seen and unseen. We stand before you humbly, with hearts ready to receive your infilling of wisdom and spirit. We give honor to our ancestors, on whose shoulders we stand. Without those you designated to come before us, we would not know who you are today. We thank you for the healing balm that you send through our minds, bodies, and spirits. We thank you for giving us a name, giving us a culture, being our watcher and protector. Originator, you are the first cause of all existence. You are the banner of truth that we lift whenever deceivers seek to blind our vision and put us to sleep. Where would we be without the lessons and deep wisdom you have given us to secure a dignified life for ourselves? In times of confusion, we rely on your peace, which surpasses all understanding. You are an El of order. We stand on the promise that you will remove chaos from our lives if we walk in the divine way you have laid before us. We rest with the knowing that you are able and great. Your plans are always the best plans. Our power comes from you. Our light comes from you. Our destiny comes from you. Thank you for all of the graces you continue to bestow on us. Thank you, Most High. Thank you, Father Knowledge. Thank you, Mother Wisdom. Thank you, Messiah, for the words of power. Selah.
Give me your love. You are the hero of my life. Give me your name. Give me your love. You are the hero of my life. Give me your name. you fall.